Chapter 227. You're courting death. His Excellency's cold roar rang out from the other side of the void tunnel. The rarity of the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse was enough to drive any faction crazy. After all, obtaining a hollowed treasure-seeking mouse meant that as long as there was a Sumeru world in the vicinity, it was equivalent to having the entire Sumeru world in their pocket. Even if they didn't find the tomb of a powerhouse that could suppress an entire era, they would at least find a desolate demon realm or void netherworld realm existence. Just thinking about it made one realize how much of a resource this was. However, before His Excellency's follow-up plans could be carried out, the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse was reduced to ashes by the Fire Kirin's fury, instantly shattering His Excellency's beautiful dream. What a pity! The Fire Kirin shook its head, a hint of desolation flashing through its eyes. The void tunnel dug by the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse would only disappear under two circumstances. The first was when the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse voluntarily closed the tunnel, and the second was when it was attacked by a powerful void turbulence. Therefore, even if the Fire Kirin killed the hollowed treasure-seeking mouse, it would be useless. Its Sumeru world was still connected to the main world, and everything here would be exposed to the outside world. Trespassing into my Sumeru world, die. The Fire Kirin completely ignored Its Excellency's angry roar. Its eyes were cold as it stared at the void tunnel in front of it. The demonic beasts that had swarmed into the void tunnel were startled. They immediately faced the Fire Kirin and arched their backs, occasionally letting out threatening growls from their nostrils. However, under the pressure of the fireball just now, these demonic beasts still didn't dare to offend the dignity of a desolate demon realm existence. Not a single demonic beast dared to step forward and provoke it. A bunch of trash. Get out of my way. Its Excellency's exasperated voice rang out. Soon after, a huge dragon head slowly reached into the void tunnel. The Fire Kirin's 4 feet were ablaze as it stepped into the void. It looked at the huge dragon head with a hint of contempt in its eyes. Another one who had gone crazy from wanting to transform into a dragon. As a member of the Kirin clan whose bloodline was as noble as the dragon clan's, the Fire Kirin could sense that the other party only had a thin trace of the dragon clan's bloodline. Furthermore, the dragon clan's aura was not fused with the Fire Kirin clan's. It was obvious that the dragon clan's bloodline had been plundered. In terms of bloodline, the dragon clan's bloodline was far inferior to the Black Serpent's. Yet, the dragon clan had chosen to disguise itself as a dragon clan member. Wasn't that insane? Fire Kirin. His Excellency and Huakirin looked at each other. Suddenly, their expressions froze and they couldn't help but cry out. Back then, the Fire Kirin had challenged the position of Beast Lord Kirin, and was hunted down by all the demon beasts in the Hungduan mountain range. In a panic, the Fire Kirin fled to the outskirts of the Hungduan mountain range, and disappeared without a trace. This was a rumor circulating among the demon beasts in the Hungduan mountain range. However, after so many years, no one had seen the Fire Kirin again. Not even its corpse could be found. Who would have thought that it would see the Fire Kirin again in this place? That's right, again. It had been dormant in the Hungduan mountain range for a long time, and had never found a suitable opportunity to blend in. If it weren't for the Fire Kirin incident, which led to the death of a large number of demon beasts in the Hungduan mountain range, it wouldn't have the status and power it had today. Therefore, when it saw the Fire Kirin again, its feelings were extremely complicated. The Fire Kirin pawed its hooves in midair and sneered. Why are you so stunned? Let's keep going. As one of the legends in the Hungduan mountain range, the Fire Kirin knew very well that Its Excellency had recognized its true identity. That was why it had such an expression. His Excellency pondered for a moment, and a pair of vertical pupils swept across the Fire Kirin. He said coldly, Fire Kirin, you are my senior. I can give you face today and let you leave safely, but you must give me the Black Serpent and this Sumeru world. Then, you must keep this matter a secret, otherwise. After that incident with me, the Beast Lord Kirin's desire to control the Hungduan mountain range is almost pathological. Young man, you have gathered so many demon beasts here. Do you think the Beast Lord Kirin knows about what happened here? The Fire Kirin narrowed its eyes slightly and sneered. You don't have to pretend with me. I am a fire divine beast. I can tell at a glance that the flames in your bodies are different from ordinary flames. Are you sure you want to give me face? Or are you worried that other demon beasts will discover your secret? When its voice fell, the fire Kirin slowly raised its chin. Fire snakes surrounded the white cocoon that wrapped Lin Yuan. His Excellency was slightly startled, and panic appeared in its eyes again. Although it did not know what the white cocoon was, at such a close distance, it could intuitively feel the tracking mark on the black serpent, so it was 80% sure that the black serpent was in the cocoon. It temporarily regarded the white cocoon as a means for the fire Kirin to bind Lin Yuan. The fire Kirin's meaning was very clear. Either everyone showed their sincerity, whether it was the Sumeru world or the black serpent. It was not that it could not give them, but His Excellency also had to pay a corresponding price. Otherwise, the first thing the fire Kirin would do was to burn the black serpent under its control, and then go all out to make a big fuss, attracting the attention of all the high-level demon beasts in the Hengduan mountain range, and then everyone would die together. His Excellency licked its nose, and the panic in its vertical pupils was instantly suppressed. It said in a deep voice, "Tell me, what do you want me to give you in exchange for the Sumeru world and the black serpent?" After knowing the other party's purpose and confirming that it was not impossible to negotiate, His Excellency was naturally not as panicked as it was at the beginning. As its mind gradually calmed down, His Excellency's thoughts gradually increased. It's very simple. I need a reasonable identity. After all, even if the outside environment has changed, we demon beasts can only live in the Hengduan mountain range. So when we meet some high-level demon beasts, I still need an identity that can fool them. I think this is not difficult. After all, if you can do it, then you can definitely help me do it. In addition, I haven't left the Sumeru world for a long time, and I've long been tired of it. You have to help me prepare a feast. Remember, only demon beasts with special bloodlines or talented humans are qualified to be my blood food. For the time being, these are my two requests. If you can agree, then we can talk. If you don't, hee. The fire Kirin stretched its body and slowly put forward its request. This. His Excellency's eyes flashed with doubt. The fire Kirin's request was actually not excessive. It could even be said that it was a little too simple. If these conditions could be exchanged for a Sumeru world, then it would accept as many as there were. Chapter 228. Oh no! Sir Kirin was startled and snapped out of his contemplation. At the same time, the entire Sumeru world began to tremble. Cracks that looked like glass appeared on the space barrier. The slightest contact would result in a bloody mess, or even a broken limb. Sir Kirin's expression darkened. He abruptly pulled his head out of the void tunnel, and looked at the collapsed space tunnel in front of him. A look of contemplation flashed across his eyes. He sensed that something was wrong. He also realized that the fire Kirin was playing tricks on him. However, he did not expect that the fire Kirin would dare to directly detonate the entire Sumeru world. In this way, this well-hidden Sumeru world would completely collapse in the endless void. Everything in Sumeru world would completely vanish. Unless the fire Kirin had already set up a teleportation array in Sumeru world. The moment Sumeru world collapsed, the fire Kirin was directly teleported to some place in the main plane. Yes, that must be it. Sir Kirin's eyes flashed with a dangerous cold light. If the fire Kirin had the thought that it would rather die than let Sir Kirin obtain Sumeru world, it would not have wasted so much time talking nonsense with Sir Kirin. It should be multitasking. On one hand, it was stalling for time. On the other hand, it was adjusting the time of Sumeru world's explosion. On the other hand, it was also activating the teleportation array. Sir Kirin calmed down and sensed for a moment. Then Sir Kirin shook his head gloomily. Sumeru world had collapsed too quickly. As a void tunnel that was even more unstable than Sumeru world, it was naturally the first to collapse. If Sir Kirin had not pulled out in time, it might have been decapitated by the void power. It would not have been able to investigate the existence of other arrays in Sumeru world. As for the subordinates that were left behind in the void tunnel, their only fate was to die without leaving behind a corpse. This fire Kirin was an existence that had toyed with the entire Hengduan mountains in the past. It did things very cleanly and neatly. It did not even leave a trace behind. It was obvious that the teleportation array that it had set up in Sumeru World was not near the Ghost Realm. It might not even be in the Hungduan Mountains. Fire Kirin, you ruined my plans. I will definitely make you pay. His Excellency slapped the ground angrily, causing cracks to appear on the ground. He looked rather flustered and exasperated. Jiu Xian, so it was you who caused such a big commotion in the ghost's domain. A goshawk with 3 heads flew over and flapped its wings. It stared at Sir and said in a cold voice, "The Beast Master asked me to come and see what the unusual spatial fluctuation was. Machine, the 2 of us are old friends. You don't have to make things difficult for me, right?" When the goshawk spoke, its eyes flickered with ridicule as if it did not take Mo Xian seriously at all. It was extremely frivolous. The lord who was addressed as Moxibustion Heart narrowed his eyes slightly, but he did not answer the question immediately. In terms of territory, Moxibustion Heart and the Inferno demon beasts under its command combined could drown this goshawk and its subordinates with a spit of saliva. In terms of strength, Moxibustion Heart boasted that it could kill this goshawk within 3 rounds if it went all out. The pressure that this goshawk brought to Moxibustion Heart was not even as great as that black snake. However, this goshawk was the favorite servant of the Beast Master Kirin. Although it was not as good as Moxibustion Heart, it relied on the undisguised favor of the Beast Master. This goshawk was usually extremely arrogant. Its behavior was not only directed at Moxibustion Heart. Replying to Lord Chile's question, "Just now I brought my subordinates here to search for a group of human demon slayers. I accidentally discovered the existence of a Sumeru world. After confirming it, I asked my subordinates to dig a void tunnel and locate the Sumeru world. As a result, I saw the Fire Kirin inside. After a tough battle, the Fire Kirin detonated the Sumeru world, burying all my subordinates in the endless void. Only I was lucky enough to barely escape." Moxibustion Heart had no intention of lying. After all, according to the methods of the Beast Palace, the truth could be found out in a moment. Therefore, he only concealed some details. "What? Fire Kirin?" Chile's expression changed. He stared at Moxibustion Heart with burning eyes and said in a deep voice, "Moxibustion Heart, don't think that we don't know what you are planning in secret. There are countless pairs of eyes watching you every day. I just want to hear what you are going to fabricate. I didn't expect you to mention that taboo. Do you know what you are talking about?" The name Fire Kirin was definitely a taboo in the Hungduan mountain range. Even a favored subordinate like Chile would have to bear the wrath of Beast King Kirin if he mentioned this name. Moxibustion Heart is speaking the truth. If Beast King doesn't believe me, you can check it at any time. Moxibustion Heart nodded slightly. There was no expression in his eyes. At this moment, it was certain that the Beast Lord Qilin had already suspected it due to its plans for the Purgatory's heart. It had specially arranged for a resting thunder to closely monitor it. However, during this period of time, Arresting Thunder's attention seemed to have been attracted by something, or perhaps it simply did not take the monitoring of it seriously. That was why it had said such ridiculous things. It was probably afraid that the Beast Lord Qilin would punish it. "Good. Even if what you said is true, then tell me, where is the Fire Kirin?" Chile flapped his wings and looked around the forest. He said coldly, "That traitor can't not come out after detonating Sumeru World, right? Don't tell me that after hiding in Sumeru World for so long, the Fire Kirin's brain was damaged, and after you saw it, it immediately committed suicide." In addition to Moxibustion Heart, there were some traces of monsters in the surroundings. It matched the information from the Monster King Court. However, other than the demonic beasts that followed Ju Xian, there were no traces of other demonic beasts, not to mention the Fire Qilin. If the Fire Qilin had really appeared, the entire forest would have been scorched. The Fire Kirin is very cunning. It set up a teleportation formation in Sumeru World, and didn't have time to see it. So naturally I don't know where the Fire Kirin is now. I'm only answering Master Chile's question. The unusual spatial fluctuations here before were caused by the Fire Kirin detonating its own Sumeru World. Moxibustion Heart glanced at Chile. He was too lazy to talk nonsense with this idiot. If he had the time, He might as well search around and see if he could find any traces of the fire Kirin. Why waste his time talking nonsense with this idiot? When it came to the fire Kirin, even if it was just a joke, it was a big deal in the Hengduan Mountains. Chapter 229. Xinwu Dynasty, Shunning City. In the early years, Shunning City was actually just a checkpoint. When the ancestors of the Jiao clan built this checkpoint, it was to keep all the monsters in the Hengduan mountain range out of the Xinwu dynasty's territory. Almost every year when the monster tide came, countless heroes would die in this place. These years, as the structure of the 7 great dynasties was settled, the beast lord Kirin retreated from the world, and the influence of the Hengduan mountain range became smaller and smaller. Shunning City and the 6 outposts outside became the 7 border cities today. At this moment, a young man wearing a red robe with cloud patterns was slowly moving forward with the crowd entering Shunning City with his hands behind his back. However, at this moment he did not notice that dozens of eyes were looking at him. These eyes belonged to some local ruffians who came from all over the world. Usually, they were idle and took advantage of the fact that they still had some strength to bully ordinary people. It was basically their source of happiness and income. They had been gathering in Shunning City for a long time. After all, the people from the few nearby cities had brought their families to Shunning City. Almost all of their belongings were with them. Except for those who looked particularly poor, they could rob anyone and live a carefree life for a long time. In the end, they would distribute the loot to the mercenaries of the merchant union who were responsible for the defense. Naturally, there would be someone to cover for them, and they did not need to worry about being held accountable. As for whether those who were robbed could survive or not, what did that have to do with them? Brother me, we found a fat sheep. A burly young man with a scar on his face trotted to a middle-aged man who was sitting next to the tower with a flattering smile on his face. Brother me nodded and slowly stood up from the ground. He stretched out his hand and patted the dust on his butt. Then, he looked in the direction that the young man with the scar was pointing at. With just a glance, Brother me's face suddenly became gloomy. Scar, is this the big fish you told me about? Brother me almost broke his back molars as he squeezed out word by word from the gap between his teeth. Yes, is there a problem? Brother me, Scar nodded, a trace of doubt in his tone. The young man who was wearing a red robe with cloud patterns had a fair complexion. Not to mention doing manual labor, he probably didn't even get much exposure to the sun. The material of his clothes was quite good, at least much better than the young masters he had seen before. Also, the accessories worn by this young man weren't bad either. A few of his brothers who had been grave robbers in the past said that the accessories worn by this young man were all made of the best materials. The worst one was an item from hundreds of years ago. No matter which one of them was put up for auction, it would probably be worth a fortune. Most importantly, this rich young master was moving around alone. They had been watching for a while, and were certain that this rich young master did not have any attendants by his side. He did not even have any experts protecting him in the dark. This was an excellent opportunity. Normally, who would not have dozens of fat and strong guards by his side? If you want to die, then go ahead and die. Don't drag me down with you. This kid isn't someone we can afford to offend. Brother me waved his hand in annoyance. The expression on his face was incomparably cold. His originally good mood had been ruined by the lack of judgment of these people. That young man indeed did not have any experts protecting him. But that did not mean that he was a pushover. This bunch of ignorant fellows could see that the young man's clothes were not ordinary, and that he was wearing all sorts of priceless accessories. The only thing they did not see was the small pendant hanging from each of his wrists behind his back. That was one of the Demon Slayer Guild's greatest creations, the Demon Slayer pouch. Under the condition that demonic beasts were willing or unconscious, they could be stored in the Demon Slayer pouch and carried around by the Demon Slayer Guild. However, the cost of making a Demon Slayer pouch was simply too high. It was not something an ordinary Demon Slayer master could afford to equip ordinary demonic beasts, or also not worth wasting a Demon Slayer pouch to transport. Brother me used to be one of the logistics members of the Demon Slayer Guild. So the moment he saw the Demon Slayer pouch, he felt some fear towards this unfamiliar young man. After all, If the Demon Slayer pouch did not contain any demonic beasts, it should be transparent like glass. However, the two Demon Slayer pouches hanging from the young man's wrists were black. It was obvious that there were two demonic beasts with extraordinary cultivation inside. According to the various conclusions, this young man was either a top Demon Slayer master of the Demon Slayer Guild, or a genius disciple groomed by some sect. Or perhaps he was a follower of someone like the former. As for the possibility that he was a fellow Demon Slayer Guild member pretending to be a fat sheep to take advantage of the situation, that was not very likely. Although such things had happened in the past, there was really no fellow Demon Slayer Guild member in the vicinity who could take out such a large amount of wealth. But brother me. Scar's lips parted, a trace of hesitation in his eyes. A fat sheep that was rich to such an extent was hard to come by in 1,000 years. It wasn't easy for him to bump into one. Should he just watch as the other party slipped away right under his nose? I've already said it. If you want to die, go ahead. I'm not doing this deal. Don't implicate me. Brother Me's eyes flashed with a cold light. Seeing how Scar was unable to move his eyes away, Brother Me knew that he wouldn't be able to persuade this bunch of bastards to go to their deaths. Right now, he could only pray that the other party's temper wasn't that bad. At the very least, he wouldn't vent his anger on him after killing these ignorant hooligans. One knew that he couldn't afford to offend such an existence, while the other was unwilling to let such a large amount of wealth slip away just like that. Thus, their previous discussion naturally ended on a sour note. 5 minutes later, Scar returned to his seat with a face full of indignation. He spat to the side with disdain and said coldly, "What's there to be proud of? Didn't you just work as a support staff for the Demon Slayer Guild for a period of time? Didn't you still get chased away by the Demon Slayer Guild? Can't afford to offend them? They're both carrying a head on their shoulders. How strong can a weak-looking brat be?" Brother Scar. Brother Scar. Seeing that Scar had returned, more than 10 hooligans gathered around him. Their slightly turbid eyes were fixed on Scar's face. Scar raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "Brother Me has something to do at the last minute, so he can't participate in this operation. However, that brat doesn't have any bodyguards by his side. If we all rush up and snatch him away, he won't be able to do anything to us. At worst, we can just go to another city and hide our identities. In any case, once we get the money, we can do whatever we want." Ha 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 ha. The group of hooligans also laughed along with him. Chapter 230. Idiots. Brother Me, who was standing on top of the city gate tower, narrowed his eyes and looked at the group of thugs below. He wasn't sure if these people, who were blinded by money, would have the chance to go to other cities and hide their identities. However, he believed that he could still make it if he ran away now. Otherwise, the impact of more than a dozen corpses on the street would be huge. Even if these dead fellows were all ruffians and scoundrels that no one loved. But under the situation where the demon beast was about to rush out of the Hungduan mountain range and flatten the 7 border cities, the hearts of the people who were already in a state of panic might not be able to withstand the slightest provocation, right? Stirring up trouble at this time was equivalent to making an enemy of the entire Shenwu dynasty. As soon as the thought of running away arose, Brother Me subconsciously sucked in a breath of cold air. That was because the young man in the crowd had appeared in front of him without him noticing. The senses of experts were very sharp. Even if it was just a glance, they could easily find the source, let alone the people who were pointing at them. Therefore, Brother Me wasn't surprised that the young man would come looking for him. What frightened him was the young man's silent, ghost-like movements. The young man left the crowd without a sound, left the sight of Scar's group of thugs, and suddenly appeared in front of him. Brother Me was able to work for the Demon Slayer Guild before, which meant that his level of training was not low. While he was not as good as those frontline combatants, he was still firmly among the ranks of airborne realm fighters thanks to the resources provided by the Demon Slayer Guild. It was precisely because of his level of training that Scar's team was able to take over one of Shunning City's gates. Taking advantage of a burning house was never a person's idea. There were actually many groups like Scar's in Shunning City. However, most of them were not strong enough, so they could only find some prey that was missed by others. They could barely make a living. People like Scar's group, who were directly near the city gates, could naturally pick the best prey. Where are you going? The young man showed a perfect smile on his face and slowly asked. Brother Me was speechless for a moment. However, a hint of doubt flashed across his heart. Although he had been observing some details of the other party's body, the distance was too far, and he couldn't see clearly. Now that he was face to face, he realized that the young man in front of him didn't seem to be a human. Although his skin was pale due to not being exposed to the sun all year round, it was definitely not as pale as this. His entire person looked like a piece of white paper. More importantly, under such pale skin, Brother Me could not find any meridians or blood vessels. This fellow seemed to be a puppet. My lord, there is no enmity between us. There is no need for this, right? Brother Me narrowed his eyes as a helpless expression appeared on his face. He said in a deep voice, seeing that I'm not a threat to you, I'll have to trouble you to lift your hand and let me live. Previously, Brother Me was only worried about provoking a formidable character. Now Brother Me wished he could stay as far away from this puppet as possible, because the one controlling the puppets might not necessarily be a human. Those demonic beasts who had dealings with human forces also liked to control the puppets to enter human territory. The demonic beasts' true bodies were hidden in the demon-subduing pouch, while they controlled the puppet's body. Similar situations had happened before. During the most tragic period of the war between humans and demonic beasts, many human cities were destroyed by the demonic beasts. But you've already provoked me. Now I'll give you two choices. 1. Prepare a quiet place for me to live. 2. I'll kill you right now. The young man said slowly with a mocking smile on his face. All right. I'll bring you there. Brother Me sighed helplessly. He knew that his fate had come. No matter what, he couldn't escape. Therefore, he could only pray that this fellow in front of him wasn't a spy sent by the demonic beasts. Otherwise, once Shunning City fell, not only would he have to die, even those who were slightly related to him wouldn't be able to escape. Brother Me led the way in front while the young man followed behind expressionlessly. Both parties were at peace. No one was playing any tricks. It wasn't until they entered a dark alley that the young man behind Brother Me frowned slightly. He slowly placed his right hand on his waist, as if he was ready to draw his weapon at any time. You. Brother Me was suddenly shocked. He turned his head to look at the young man with a terrified expression. Was the other party ready to kill him? Brother Me TSK. I treat you as my brother. Yet you're playing tricks behind my back? Dao Ba's sarcastic voice suddenly rang out. Accompanied by the sound of sticks rubbing against the ground, more than 10 hoodlums came out of the alley, dragging sticks and short knives. Each of them looked at Brother Me with a cold expression. This is someone you can't afford to offend, is it? Brother Me, you're not the only one with a brain. You're just trying to scare us off so that you can keep this wealth for yourself. Dao Ba raised the short knife in his hand and pointed it at Brother Me. His eyes flashed with coldness. He wasn't here specifically to ambush Brother Me. It was just that the fat sheep that he had his eyes on earlier had disappeared into the crowd in a few turns. Their trip here was for naught. Hence, they wanted to ease their relationship with Brother Me and find another suitable prey. However, they didn't expect to see Brother Me and this young man on their way home. In an instant, a wave of anger rushed to the top of his head. Dao Ba didn't even think before he drew his short knife and blocked Brother Me's path home. Dao Ba, I'm not. Brother Me opened his mouth and wanted to explain. However, when he thought of the mysterious identity of the young man behind him, Brother Me tactfully kept his mouth shut. If this bunch of hoodlums insisted on fighting, they would be the ones to die. If he said anything, not only would it not change the outcome of this bunch of hoodlums, it would also cost him his life for no reason. Thinking of this, Brother Me could only sigh softly. Good words couldn't persuade a damned ghost. You're not what? At this point, you're still trying to lie to me? Brother Me, touch your conscience and tell me, what have we done wrong to you? Every time we catch a fat sheep, it's always me and my brothers who risk our lives at the front. However, when it comes to splitting the loot, you're always the one who gets the biggest share. If this deal is successful, not only you, But all of us brothers will be rich men in the future. But what about you? You actually want to keep it all to yourself. The more Daoba thought about it, the angrier he got. He continuously used the tip of his knife to hit the wall of the alley beside him. His face revealed a crazed expression. Chapter 231. Brother Mi remained silent as he listened to Scar's words. He had to admit that Scar was right. He was never present during the robbery, but when it came to splitting the money, he would definitely get the most. However, he had a clear conscience when it came to this money. He was the one who paid to bribe the merchant union. He was also the one who defeated the other gangs one by one when they wanted to seize the precious land of the city gate. If it wasn't for him, an airborne realm existence, would these gangsters, who were mostly below the mortal evolution realm, be able to do such a profitable business with no capital in Shunning City? Brother Mi originally thought that there was no need for words between brothers. But now, it seemed that these brothers of his had never understood him. They even harbored enmity towards him, thinking that he shouldn't get a share of the money that was several times more than theirs. Seems like you're not very popular. The young man smiled, looking as if he didn't mind blowing things up. Who the F***ck are you to speak? Kid, let me tell you, I call the shots on this street. If you still know who you can mess with and who you can't, then obediently hand over all your valuables. If I'm happy that you're throwing money at me, you can still get your worthless life back. Scar pointed his finger at the young man and cursed. When Scar's voice fell, the air seemed to have frozen, and the surrounding temperature dropped by a few degrees. It wasn't a psychological effect, but the temperature really dropped by a few degrees. Even the surrounding walls of the alley slowly condensed a thin layer of frost. You're awake so soon? The young man didn't pay attention to Scar. Instead, he shook the demon-subduing pouch on his right wrist with interest. A huge demonic aura flashed by. But at this moment, an even stronger force erupted from the young man's body, directly covering up this demonic aura. In this noisy Shunning City, that flash of demonic aura didn't arouse anyone's vigilance. The few people who noticed the existence of the demonic aura frowned slightly. They simply couldn't find the source of this demonic energy, and completely lost all traces of it. They could only helplessly give up on continuing the search. But the vigilance in their hearts increased by a few levels. The soldiers and civilians of the other 6 cities at the border were gathering in Shunning City. Firstly, the city was crowded, and secondly, it was convenient for the demonic beasts to gather their forces. Although this was the best solution at the moment, many people were still dissatisfied. Every day, countless leaders were clamoring to change the status quo. Under such circumstances, their internal conflicts had not been solved yet, so how could they have the time to deal with the problems of the outside world? If the demonic beasts really appeared in Shunning City, the morale of the soldiers and the people that they had worked so hard to build would collapse in an instant. However, even though these big shots didn't notice the demonic power, it didn't mean that others didn't notice it. For example, Scar and the group of gangsters who were close by just now were all paralyzed with fear at this moment. They looked at the calm and composed young man with disbelief in their eyes. They really couldn't understand how this seemingly weak guy could release such a terrifying force. Even Daoba, who was the strongest among them, was only at level 6 of the mortal evolution state. In front of that demonic aura, Daoba didn't even have the right to stabilize himself. He almost knelt down. At this moment, Daoba's face was full of despair. Suddenly, he remembered what Brother Mi said before. This young man was indeed not a fat sheep, but a ferocious beast that they could never provoke. Luckily, I didn't cause a big mess. The young man shook his head gently and put his right hand behind his waist again. He said in a deep voice, "By the way, where are we at just now? Oh, you asked me to hand over all my valuables. If you're in a good mood, you can still let me live, right?" The young man looked at Daoba with ridicule. He didn't stop walking and slowly approached his target. Daoba was so scared that tears flowed down his face. He used both his hands and feet to move backward. The fear in his eyes couldn't be suppressed. Although he was not in existence with great experience and strength, he had a deep understanding of the viciousness of the human heart, after living on the edge of a blade for so long. It would still be fine if they did not provoke this young man earlier. However, now that they knew some of this young man's secrets, how was it any different from a fool's dream if they wanted to escape unscathed? Of course, I know what you're saying is bullsh*. Whether I cooperate with you or not, I'm going to die in the end. The young man still had a gentle smile on his face, but he said in confusion, "But I'm very curious. How do you plan to kill me?" "Patter." The young man snapped his fingers and said, "Beat you to death?" One thug suddenly groaned. All his bones and tendons were instantly broken, and he died on the spot. It looked like he was beaten up by a group of people and had his bones and tendons broken. Patter. Drowned. One of the thugs suddenly covered his mouth and nose. He struggled like a drowning person, but soon he fell to the ground with a pale face and no longer made a sound. Patter. 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 The sound of fingers snapping echoed in his ears. The brothers that Dao Ba brought here died in all kinds of ways in this alley that people rarely pass by. Corpses of all kinds of shapes and sizes fell in front of Dao Ba. "Devil! You're a devil!" Dao Ba's tears, snot, and saliva flowed together. He looked at the young man who was getting closer and closer and shouted crazily. Under this kind of pressure that was close to despair, Dao Ba's heart had reached its limit. It was like a tightly stretched string. If it was touched slightly, he would directly break. "Let's give him a quick death." Brother Me suddenly opened his mouth and said. When his voice fell, he tilted his head slightly. These thugs gathered here were all his brothers in the past. Most of them were just nodding acquaintances with him. However, after interacting with them for a long time, he could still clearly remember their names and personalities. And now, fresh lives were falling in the young man's hands. It was as easy and laughable as if he had nothing better to do. In the end, when only Dao Ba, who was the closest to him, was left, Brother Me could not help but beg for mercy for Dao Ba, who was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Bang! Dao Ba's head instantly exploded. Before he died, a clear smile of relief appeared on Dao Ba's face. "I hope this is the last time I stop. Next time, if trouble comes knocking on my door, I'll get rid of you first." The young man glanced coldly at Brother Me and said in a chilling voice, 200 monthly votes. Update. Chapter 232. Half an hour later. In a remote courtyard in the south of Shunning City, the young man put his hands behind his back and kept shaking the two demon-subduing pouches in his hands. After a while, two figures, one black and one red, were thrown out of the demon-subduing pouches. One was Lin Yuan, whose scales gave off a faint golden glow, and the other was the fire Kirin, whose fur fluttered without any wind, like clusters of burning flames. "Hey, Black Serpent, you really didn't disappoint me. The speed at which you absorbed life energy is much faster than I expected." The fire Kirin pursed its lips and completely ignored the stunned Brother Me. It turned its head and looked directly at Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan glanced at the fire Qilin expressionlessly, without the slightest change in his expression. He was silently adapting to the surging power in his body, and at the same time, trying his best to suppress the demonic energy in his body to prevent it from leaking out. Even though the fire Kirin did not tell him where this place was, judging from the architectural style of the surrounding buildings, it was definitely not a place where demonic beasts lived. It was even more impossible for it to be a demi-human that lived more like barbarians. Therefore, at this moment, Lin Yuan had already realized that the fire Kirin had brought him from the Hengduan Mountains to a human city while he was unconscious. "Why are you so cold? After all, I was the one who saved you." The fire Kirin smiled at Lin Yuan and said in a low voice, "Although I don't know what the relationship between you and that reptile is, I can feel that it has no good intentions towards you. If I didn't bring you out, you might have fallen into its hands by now. Why, don't you want to thank me?" Lin Yuan rolled his eyes and said mercilessly, "If I remember correctly, when we left the Sumeru space, a large part of the life energy that enveloped me was extracted. This means that you didn't want to take me with you. You just needed the life energy around me to start the escape plan. Secondly, that guy is indeed very malicious towards me. But when you speak, don't you think about what you've done? If it wasn't for the fact that I've already digested all of your life energy, I'm afraid you wouldn't be talking nonsense with me right now. You'd probably be gnawing on my flesh right now, right? At this point, Lin Yuan paused and said coldly, "Also, where did you take me?" "Who knows?" The fire Kirin evaded the question and said nonchalantly, "The teleportation formation sent me to this godforsaken place. Moreover, we didn't have any combat power to speak of at that time. In order to get away from that insect, I could only bring you away from the Hengduan Mountains." Before leaving the Sumeru world, the Kirin had indeed hesitated whether to take Lin Yuan with it. However, time was too tight, and it could only take the black serpent with it as food reserves. But the fire Kirin had never imagined that the black serpent would devour all the life energy in such a short time. Eating the black serpent now would not make up for it. It might as well temporarily join forces with the black serpent and leave this city full of human patrols first. The two of you. This is Shunning City, one of the 7 border cities of the Shenwu dynasty. It is also the last line of defense against the mystical beasts of the Shenwu dynasty. Now the mystical beasts in the Hengduan Mountains are restless and have even rushed out of the buffer zone between the two forces. Except for some defenders who are unwilling to leave their homeland, the soldiers and civilians of the other 6 border cities are currently on their way to Shunning City. Right this time, the mystical beasts in the Hengduan Mountains are extremely irritable. They have no intention of negotiating at all. Everyone they meet on the way is killed without hesitation. They have no intention of negotiating at all. It is said that a few days ago, the mystical beasts went on a killing spree. Even the emissary sent by the dynasty to negotiate was killed. Brother Mi, who felt an ice-cold knife pressing against his neck, immediately opened his mouth to show his worth. The fire Kirin and Lin Yuan both made a nasal sound of suspicion at the same time. Did the beast master Kirin take the wrong medicine? The Hengduan Mountains is waging a full-scale war with the Shenwu dynasty at this time. Is he not worried at all that the other 6 dynasties will attack him? Or is it that the two of us have actually transmigrated to another world, and the Hengduan Mountains here can directly suppress the other 7 dynasties? Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with doubt. The fire Kirin was also dumbfounded. It suspected that there was something wrong with its teleportation formation, and it was directly pulled into the past. It's not what you two think. This time, it's not the Hengduan mountain range that wants to start a war with the Shenwu dynasty. Instead, the Shenwu dynasty seems to have offended someone very powerful. The 2 neighboring dynasties have launched an attack on the Shenwu dynasty's territory almost at the same time. The southern coastal area has also been fiercely attacked by the Dragon Palace of the 4 Seas. As for the northern side, the Shenwu dynasty has given a death order to the 7 border cities. Even if we have to sacrifice our lives, we have to stop the demonic beasts outside the northern battlefront, because the Shenwu dynasty can't transfer any troops to support us. Brother Mi explained in time again. After all, he had been drinking and eating with the mercenaries from the Merchant Union. Although he had completely lost the source of information from the Demon Slayer Guild, he still understood the current situation of the Shenwu dynasty. It was obviously a small boat that was swaying in a storm and could sink at any time. Lin Yuan and the fire Kirin both fell silent. They thought that the Shenwu dynasty had done something that could make the Hengduan Mountains, which had been holed up for many years, go to war. They didn't expect that there was a hidden story behind this matter. However, what kind of power could command the 2 dynasties and the mystical beasts of the land and sea to launch an attack on the Shenwu dynasty at the same time? Have the people from Mountain Blocking City arrived at Shunning City? Lin Yuan suddenly glanced sideways and asked. Although his strength had improved greatly, he was still ridiculously weak compared to the fire Kirin of the desolate demon realm. If both sides continued like this, even if he didn't become the fire Kirin's food, he wouldn't be able to complete the bloodline advancement mission. If he could invite strong external help, there might be some hope. If the purple-eyed youth arrived at Shunning City, with the help of the Demon Emperor Guild's hidden forces, there might be a chance to kill the fire Kirin. Mountain Blocking City? Brother Mi was slightly startled. After carefully deliberating for a moment, he said with uncertainty, "There is indeed a group of people from Mountain Blocking City. However, I don't know where they are stationed. My lord, for you to ask this question, Could it be that you have an enemy among those people from Mountain Blocking City? If my lord needs, I can help you find out where the people from Mountain Blocking City are stationed. Update with 220 monthly votes. Chapter 233. That would be troublesome. Lin Yuan opened his mouth and subconsciously added. However, before Lin Yuan could finish his sentence, a surge of pressure fell on Brother Me, who was in the airborne realm, was faced with the pressure of a monster in the desolate demon realm. There was no need for him to resist. He immediately froze on the spot, not daring to move. Beads of cold sweat the size of soybeans kept oozing out of his forehead. Fire Kiran's eyes showed no emotion at all. It said in a deep voice, "Black Snake, I can't be bothered with your business, but we are now in the same group. Please think before you do anything. Once this guy is out of our control, he might betray us." Brother Me's eyes instantly dimmed when he heard Fire Kiran's words. He originally thought that he could take advantage of this opportunity to escape the control of these two terrifying monsters. However, he did not expect that even after he had cooperated to such an extent, the other party still did not let down their guard against him. They did not even think about letting him leave this remote courtyard alive. Only the dead would keep secrets. Do you have any other choice if you don't trust him? Lin Yuan suddenly sneered and opened his mouth to ask. You've absorbed the life energy and so have I. Right now, I can clearly feel the stomach acid digesting my tissues to slow down my hunger. I don't believe that you don't feel it at all. Or are you not planning to buy food? You're going to eat me when you can't stand it anymore? Then what are you going to eat after you eat me? Are you going to starve to death here? Absorbing a large amount of life energy to temper one's body could quickly increase one's strength, but the burden on the body was equally huge. At this moment, although Lin Yuan did not show anything on his face, he was already so hungry that his chest was sticking to his back. He did not know what the Fire Kiran's situation was at the moment, but he guessed that it was not much better than he was. They were both starving. I can use puppets. Fire Kiran pondered for a moment, then said in a low voice without much confidence. When he entered the city, he was using a puppet. Of course, it wasn't that no one noticed him. However, since the puppet was carrying 2 demon-suppressing pouches, others only thought that it was a puppet used by the demon-suppressing guild to deliver goods. But when they entered the city, they still used the puppet to communicate with others. They also had to purchase large amounts of demonic beast meat and spiritual items to consume. 4 penniless paupers like Fire Kiran and Lin Yuan. Even if they tried to rob them, they would still be beaten up by the guards of Shunning City. Don't be silly. If you had chosen to hide in a corner of the Hengduan Mountains, we wouldn't be in this situation where we don't even have a choice. However, you insisted on entering a human city. How long are you going to be stubborn for? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, Leave this human alive. He will take care of everything for us during this period of time. Don't you like making deals? You are the great Fire Kiran. Just a little thing that you leak out from between your fingers is enough for this human to work for you. Lin Yuan was once a human as well. He used to live in the dark world. He had a very good grasp of the psychology of people like Brother Me. It was useless to talk to this kind of person. Only when enough benefits were offered could they be moved. Anyway, humans can never be trusted. Fire Kiran shook its head. It was still firm in its opinion. In the past, it had been schemed against by cunning humans more than once or twice. Therefore, when faced with the choice of whether to let Brother Me live or not, it still chose to get rid of this hidden danger instead of choosing to trust Brother Me. It rejected Lin Yuan's suggestion without even discussing it. The despair in Brother Me's eyes grew stronger. Although he could not see the specific cultivation of these 2 monsters, the black snake whose scales had turned from pale gold to black was obviously weaker than Fire Kiran in terms of aura. If Fire Kiran was determined to kill him, the black snake would not be able to protect him. Of course, humans can't be trusted. However, I have a way to make him trustworthy. A cold light flashed in Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes. The snake's body flashed and appeared behind Brother Me in the blink of an eye. The snake, which had shrunk to the size of a normal poisonous snake, opened its mouth and bit Brother Me's neck. Brother Me felt a sharp pain in his neck. Following that, A warm current flowed into his body continuously, almost replacing 1/3 of the blood flow in his body. At this moment, Lin Yuan withdrew his poisonous fangs from Brother Mi's body. He glanced at the black rhombus-shaped mark on Brother Mi's neck and nodded in satisfaction. This was the upgraded skill of Dovewine's poison, Curse Mark Poison. Although the strength of this skill did not continue to increase, nor did it become a bug-level skill that could inexplicably poison the enemy, Curse Mark Poison was still a better skill than Dovewine's poison. This was because it could be stacked infinitely, and could even replace all of the blood in the opponent's body. If Lin Yuan did not take the initiative to trigger the poison, even if Brother Mi's body was filled with Curse Mark Poison, he would still be able to live like a normal person. Brother Mi clutched his neck in pain. His small eyes were filled with doubt. This black snake. Why did it rush up and bite me when it was talking? I've planted poison in this guy's body. With just a thought, the poison will completely explode and enter his heart. After 3 seconds, it will paralyze his heart. When that time comes, even the gods won't be able to save him. Lin Yuan had a smile in his eyes as he said, Fire Qilin, as I said before, just a little thing leaked from between your fingers is enough to make this guy obedient to you. Fire Kirin's eyes turned slightly. After thinking carefully for a moment, its eyes suddenly brightened. It began to understand the black snake's meaning. People like Brother Mi could not be trusted. Not only to demon beasts, but also to humans. This kind of scum would not betray demon beasts for the righteousness of the race, or the glory of the dynasty. There was only one reason why he betrayed Fire Kirin and Black Snake. He wanted to escape from the control of these two demon beasts. If he could not escape from this control, he naturally would not use the method of mutual destruction to expose the existence of these two demon beasts to the human experts. Of course, if too much time passed, Brother Mi could still lose control. That was why Black Snake wanted him to give some benefits. In this way, the two sides became some kind of cooperative relationship. Brother Mi received benefits and was restrained. He would definitely not betray them. Even when someone came to investigate, this man who was very popular in the underworld of Shunning City would take the initiative to help cover it up. 240 monthly votes to add more chapters. Chapter 234. The ups and downs of life were nothing more than this. Brother Mi was already prepared to die, but with the Black Snake's help he actually managed to survive. He even obtained a decent cultivation technique from the Fire Kirin. Compared to this cultivation technique, his original cultivation method was completely trash. However, Brother Mi wasn't grateful to the Black Snake for saving his life. He even felt some hatred in his heart. Brother Mi's mentality was naturally within Lin Yuan's control. After all, this kind of scum who wantonly plundered the wealth of others for a moment of pleasure would never have a sense of gratitude. In terms of kindness, he couldn't compare to the demonic beasts. If it wasn't for Lin Yuan restraining him, he might have betrayed Lin Yuan and the Fire Kirin for more benefits. But in his heart, even if Brother Mi couldn't wait to skin them alive, he still had to cover for them with a smile. Let's go buy a batch of demonic beast flesh and spiritual items first. The Fire Kirin plucked a simple jade ring from the puppet's body and casually tossed it to Brother Mi. It didn't even look at Brother Mi during the whole process, showing a sleepy expression. Brother Mi, on the other hand, was shocked. He hurriedly stood up and caught the jade ring. He rubbed the jade ring in his hand as if it was his lover. His eyes seemed to be glowing. Brother Mi wasn't a professional appraiser, so he didn't know the quality of the jade ring's material. However, the craftsmanship was the work of a top craftsman from the Thousand Swords dynasty 300 years ago. The demon-subduing Master Guild branch he worked for had a similar jade ring. He would take it out and play with it from time to time. However, the jade ring in the hands of the branch president was far inferior to the one in his hand. Apart from its ornamental value, the cold touch of the jade ring on his skin caused his heart to tremble. The agitation and distress in his heart instantly disappeared. Clearly, it had the effect of calming his mind. Suppressing the ecstasy in his heart, Brother Mi quietly kept the jade ring. Although I don't like this jade thumb ring, it is undeniably a treasure. I don't mind if you keep it for yourself, but you have to think about whether your little bit of wealth is enough for the two of us to eat a meal." The Fire Kirin's voice suddenly rang out, completely dispelling Brother Mi's thoughts. With his current wealth, providing a meal for 2 demonic beasts would probably be enough to bankrupt him. Brother Mi nodded his head and quickly left the remote courtyard. "All right, Black Snake. We should talk about the matter between us now." After Brother Mi left, the Fire Qilin turned its head to the Black Snake and said in a deep voice, "I regret it now. I shouldn't have pulled you into my Sumeru world. Now that my life force has been absorbed by you, and my Sumeru world has been destroyed because of the strong enemy you provoked, how do you think I should settle this debt with you?" Sensing the killing intent surging from the Fire Kirin's body, Lin Yuan didn't reply. His different colored eyes flickered, making the Fire Kirin unable to see through the Black Snake's thoughts. If the Black Snake was still wrapped in the life force, the Fire Kirin wouldn't hesitate at all, and directly devour the life force along with the Black Snake. However, the Black Snake had already finished refining the life force, and its realm was still at the peak of the Wisdom realm. It wasn't a bit more and it wasn't a bit less. To the Fire Kirin, this was probably the strangest thing. The life force it had poured into the Black Snake wasn't a small amount. Even if it brought a pig here, it would be able to steadily raise it to the Mountain Lord realm, and it might even be able to make a breakthrough. However, since things had already turned out this way, the Fire Kirin could only sigh. After all, devouring a peak Wisdom realm demonic beast wouldn't bring it any benefits. "Are you trying to pull me onto your war chariot and help you deal with the Beast Lord Kirin?" Lin Yuan's eyes flashed as he suddenly asked. Having its thoughts exposed by the Black Snake, even the Fire Kirin's killing intent couldn't help but stiffen. Originally, when Lin Yuan didn't speak, it felt a bit embarrassed, as if it didn't have any prestige in the Black Snake's eyes. Now that the Black Snake had directly spoken its thoughts, it felt even more humiliated. "Stop dreaming. That's impossible." Lin Yuan didn't wait for the Fire Kirin's reply and decisively rejected it. Back then, when the Fire Kirin challenged the Beast Lord Kirin's rule and failed, the demonic beasts lost a part of the demonic beast forest. That was how some human cities were built. For example, the 7 border cities of the Shangwu dynasty had completely stabilized their position at that time. Therefore, from the demonic beast's point of view, the Fire Kirin wasn't a hero, but a sinner. In addition, after that incident, none of the demonic beasts of the Fire Kirin lineage were spared. They were all killed by the Beast Lord Kirin's ruthless methods. Even though the Fire Kirin had made a comeback, it didn't have any followers in the Hengduan mountain range. As for the human side, even if there were people who supported the Fire Kirin back then, those people had either aged or retired after so many years. A lone commander with only the strength of the desolate demon realm still wanted to overthrow the Beast Lord Kirin's rule. Lin Yuan really didn't know whether to say that the Fire Kirin was overthinking or that the Kirin was too stupid. "Hey, don't tell me that you don't have any thoughts about ruling the Hengduan mountain range. Black Snake, you have too many secrets. Even I may not be as mysterious as you. How can an existence like you be willing to stay in the periphery of the Hengduan mountain range and be a little beast lord?" The Fire Kirin pursed its lips and said slowly with a mocking expression, "That reptile has designs on you. At the same time, it also destroyed my Sumeru world. So sooner or later, I will find trouble with it. In addition, if you want to continue climbing up, naturally there won't be a problem. However, when you reach the top, the Beast Lord Kirin will become your biggest obstacle. Black Snake, we have so many common enemies. If you don't cooperate with me, are you sure you can handle it?" Lin Yuan turned his head to the side and didn't have any intention of answering. After all, the Fire Kirin's bloodline had already been listed as a mission target. In addition, in the Sumeru world, Lin Yuan and the Fire Kirin didn't get along very well. So Lin Yuan only had killing intent for this legendary demon beast that came back to life because of its unwillingness to die. He didn't have any intention of being friendly with it. That kind of fake cooperation, what was the point of it? As for climbing up, Lin Yuan indeed had this idea. The division of power in the Tianwu continent had always been the 7 great empires, the Hengduan mountain range, and the dragon palaces of the 4 seas. Within each of the great empires, There were large and small sections. The land and sea demon clans also had various beast lords and commanders. The records recorded by the three-eyed ape were exactly the same as what Lin Yuan had seen. There are 260 monthly votes for me to update. Chapter 235. However, at this moment, Lin Yuan's view of this world had already changed. It wasn't the 7 great empires or the 2 great demon clans that were at the top. There seemed to be an even more powerful force hidden in the darkness of this world. For example, the silver coin that Xia Xiu took out previously, and the 2 great demon clans joining forces with the empires to attack the Shenwu dynasty. All of these were reminders to the world that the true power that controlled this world was someone else. Since he hadn't forgotten about his blood feud because of reincarnation, wouldn't it be a waste if he didn't take revenge? Only by climbing to the top of this world would Lin Yuan have the qualifications to come into contact with those truly powerful existences. Sirs, I'm back. As the courtyard door was gently pushed open, Brother Mi returned to the courtyard with a flushed face. Ding. Congratulations to the host. Mission completed. Great success. Obtained 1 chance to draw a skill. When the system notification rang out, it also reminded Lin Yuan that the fire Kirin, which had been hanging over his head like a steel knife, had completely let go of its killing intent towards him. Therefore, he was judged to be alive in this mission and had fulfilled the mission's requirements. Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and walked towards the door. An abnormally rich meaty aroma assaulted his nostrils. It was obvious that Brother Mi had also bought some dishes made from the demonic beast's meat when he purchased the demonic beast's meat and the spiritual items. After being processed by humans, these dishes made from the spiritual items were even more delicious than the raw demonic beast's meat. At the same time, it was easier to digest the energy within the demonic beast's meat. Some of the spiritual items could even increase the energy within the demonic beast's meat. However, Lin Yuan was currently stuck at the pinnacle of the wisdom realm. Who knew when the advancement mission would be released? He wasn't interested in the energy within the dishes. Even if he refined it into attribute points, it wouldn't be much. He was more interested in the taste of the food, and whether the amount was enough to fill his stomach. Brother Mi was constantly moving in and out of the courtyard, carrying huge sacks into the courtyard. Every time a sack landed on the ground, a huge amount of dust would fly up. Just by listening to the sound, Lin Yuan guessed that every sack here weighed at least 600 pounds. Brother Mi carried nearly 100 sacks in a row, yet he still did not look like he was panting at all. Such a task was naturally nothing difficult for an airborne realm being like him. The only thing that troubled Brother Mi was that the 2 monsters did not seem to get along well while he was away from the compound. Don't tell me, you want to kill me again? Brother Mi's gaze paused on Huaqiran for a moment. Sensing something, Huaqiran immediately looked back. Brother Mi was so frightened that he immediately took a few steps towards the black snake. His face was filled with lingering fear. His actions seemed to have completely forgotten that this black snake was also a terrifying demonic beast that killed without batting an eyelid. Have you inquired about Mountain Blocking City for me? Lin Yuan took the initiative to ask as he swallowed a piece of fresh meat into his stomach. Brother Mi must have bought the cooked food to reward him. Although Lin Yuan had not eaten food made by humans for a long time, he was sure that the amount of cooked food was definitely not much. Even if he ate all of it, it would only fill his stomach a little. In the end, he would still be unsatisfied. Yes, I've inquired about it. How can I not take Sir's instructions to heart? Brother Mi immediately replied with a smile. He then said in a deep voice, the civilians of Mountain Blocking City are all settled in the north of the city, while their army is settled in the White Dragon Mountain outside the city. I didn't inquire about the details, but I heard that there are 2 leaders inside. One is called Luo Su, and the other is called Li Zhongxing. Luo Su? Li Zhongxing? Lin Yuan frowned imperceptibly. He did not know the name of the purple-eyed youth, but he was sure that the purple-eyed youth's desire for power was incomparably strong. Otherwise, he would not have agreed to Lin Yuan's plan to destroy Mountain Blocking City. It was all for the sake of wiping out all the forces that might stand in his way, so that he could completely take over Mountain Blocking City. Logically speaking, It was impossible for there to be two leaders in mountain blocking city. Either the purple-eyed youth did not come at all, or he had chosen to bring up the rear. Luo Su and Li Zhongxing were both his right-hand men, and they had only brought their men here in advance to meet up with him. So that's how it is, Lin Yuan muttered softly. With his intelligence, it was not difficult for him to guess that the purple-eyed youth was not either of the two. At the same time, he could also guess what the purple-eyed youth was busy with at this moment. The Xinwu dynasty undoubtedly attached great importance to the reconstruction of mountain blocking city. Almost immediately after the city construction plan was completed, they had sent out a supply team to transport the materials to the designated location. Now that the Hengduan mountain range's demon beasts had attacked, mountain blocking city was definitely still in a state of being under construction. There were still a lot of materials that had not been used. The purple-eyed youth should be planning to send all these materials to the Stoneclaw forest ruled by Lin Yuan, so as to avoid being destroyed by the demon beast tide. At the same time, at the periphery of the Stoneclaw forest, Lei Fan stretched his back lazily, a relaxed smile hanging on his face. With the black serpent as his trump card, the monstrous beasts of the Stoneclaw forest would not be able to keep his materials for themselves. With this, when the beast tide was over, he would be able to quickly establish the mountain blocking city. As for the other 6 cities, that would be another story. Previously, the 6 border cities were all laughing at him for being the newly appointed city lord who was tasked to rebuild mountain blocking city in the face of danger. But after this battle, at least 6 of the 7 border cities would have to be rebuilt. When that time comes, it would be hard to say who would be the one laughing at whom. Leading a few of his personal guards, Lei Fan carefully walked along the path they came from, not daring to make any movements that would attract the demon beast's attention. After all, this was the demon beast's main camp. Once the demon beasts gathered here, even if they were elites who had been through hundreds of battles, they would still be defeated. CSI. A strange sound rang out. Lei Fan subconsciously raised his hand, and the personal guards beside him also stopped in their tracks. A moment later, a black cat that was not even at the spirit awakening realm flashed before their eyes. Who? Lei Fan heaved a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was not a demonic beast. Otherwise, they would have died here today. Before he could relax, Lei Fan's face suddenly turned serious, and he subconsciously drew out the battle saber at his waist. This place was the depths of the demon beast forest, and it was an area that had just left the Stoneclaw forest. The demon beasts that appeared here were at least at the 7th to 8th level of the spirit awakening realm. Why would a wild beast, a black cat, suddenly appear in this place? Update with 280 monthly votes. Chapter 236. Young Master. The leader of the personal guards frowned. When he saw Lei Fan draw his sword, he had already prepared himself for battle, and had even planned to sacrifice himself to delay the attack of the monstrous beasts to allow Lei Fan to retreat. But even after 2 to 3 minutes, there were still no signs of abnormalities. The only strange thing was that the strange black cat had not left, but had instead squatted down on the spot, sizing up the humans, its eyes filled with the arrogance and coldness of a feline. Prepare for battle. Lei Fan licked his lips, his voice a little hoarse. These personal guards were brave and loyal, but they were all newly transferred from the family clan, and had no experience in battling against monstrous beasts. Although they had assumed a battle stance, they could not understand how the appearance of a wild beast could scare Lei Fan to such an extent. It's actually humans. At this time, you still dare to enter the Hengduan Mountains? Following a burst of laughter that sounded like silver bells, Lei Fan's personal guards immediately felt goosebumps rise on their backs. Humans would never use the word human to refer to their own kind. So the owner of this voice, even if it was not a monstrous beast, it was a demi-human, and a demi-human that was close to the monstrous beasts. Sire, can you come out for a chat? Lei Fan held his sword in a reverse grip and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, his heartbeat quickening. The other party had not immediately summoned the monstrous beasts nearby to surround and kill them, and had even shown interest. Lei Fan was already rejoicing that he had survived a calamity. After all, with all these factors added together, it meant that the other party did not have any enmity towards them but was just a little curious. A fair and sparkling bare foot stepped onto a patch of grass. In the next moment, a woman in revealing clothes slowly appeared before the eyes of Lei Fan and the others. She was wearing a red and white witch robe, but it didn't give off any sense of holiness that a divine servant should have. Instead, it gave off an indescribably seductive aura. The seductive aura came from the fact that her figure was far too perfect, so perfect that any man would be charmed by it. However, the seductive aura came from the fact that this woman's brain didn't belong to a human's. It was the head of a fox, covered with fine white fur. Only in the middle of her brows was a red mark that looked like a flame, adding a sense of mystery to her bewitchment. Demi-human. One of the personal guards swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and the vigilance in his heart relaxed a little. Demi-humans were a mix of humans and demon beasts. Some demi-humans were more inclined towards demon beasts, while others were more inclined towards humans. When encountering a demi-human in the wild, no one could say for sure which side the other party was on. Vixen Kagura. Lei Fan's face was solemn as he slowly called out his opponent's name. His left hand, which was holding the saber in reverse, was trembling slightly. If he hadn't seen the other party's appearance, he would have thought that the other party was an ignorant demi-human. But at this moment, all that was left in Lei Fan's heart was fear. A Heaven Dipper realm cultivator was no less cunning than a human. This vixen, who was named Kagura, was a disciple of a deity temple at the borders of the Shinwu dynasty, who worshipped the guardian deity. But when Kagura was 17 years old, because of her identity as a demi-human, she missed the opportunity to be a witch in the deity temple. From under her mask of innocence and kindness, a devil was released. On the night of the witch selection, Kagura had spiked the entire deity temple's celebratory wine with quite a large dose of knockout powder. Then she had personally slaughtered her teachers who had taught her, and her classmates who had studied with her, especially the young human girl who had been chosen as the new witch. It was said that when she was discovered, her original appearance was unrecognizable. From then on, the name of the vixen Kagura spread throughout the Hengduan Mountains. Be it a normal person or a demon slayer master, as long as they were caught by Kagura, they would not have a good ending. She had once yearned to join the human dynasty and wanted to blend into the human race. But reality had given her a resounding slap. So she was now a lunatic who hated humans to the core. "Oh, little big brother, you actually know me." Kagura's sweet voice seemed to ring right beside their ears. Every single word that came out of her mouth was like a soft little tongue licking their earlobes, causing their hearts to itch. Many of the personal guards' eyes showed a dazed look, and even Lei Fan, after the initial bout of tolerance, fell into a daze, as if he had just seen a goddess in his dreams. He took the initiative to let down all his guard as he walked towards Kagura. "Wake up!" A low roar rang out right beside their ears. Lei Fan and the entire group of personal guards were jolted awake, and all of them looked at Kagura in horror, especially the leader of the personal guards. As he looked at Kagura, who was just inches away from him, and then looked at the other party's sharp fingernails which were already touching his throat, and the terror in his eyes grew more intense. "Kagura, they are the Demon Emperor's subordinates, and are our own people." Wan Yu's figure slowly walked out from the shrubbery, almost blending into the pitch-black shadows. A pair of apathetic eyes fell upon Kagura, his eyes filled with helplessness. In the period that the Black Snake was not around, the Stoneclaw Forest and the Demon Emperor's Association were in a state of chaos. If it was just a small matter, then so be it. But if Lei Fan were to die at the hands of Kagura, based on the Black Snake's character, how could he possibly let the vixen Kagura off so easily? Although Wan Yu did not know the Black Snake's plans, but he could guess that this newly appointed city lord of the mountain blocking city, in the eyes of the Black Snake, was no doubt an extremely important pawn. Kagura pursed her lips and did not reply, but silently retracted her fingernails. Although the mysterious Demon Emperor was nowhere to be found, but when he was active, he had indeed left behind many legends. Even among the members of the Demon Emperor's Association who were driven by their own interests, Many of them believed that the black snake was indeed the reincarnation of the ancient demon emperor, or a product of possession, and that he might really be able to lead them to a path of glory in the future. Kagura, who had once believed in the gods, was one of those people. Compared to the human empire that she had once yearned for, Kagura now hoped to see an ancient demon court that spanned across the entire Tianwu continent, and even the four seas. She couldn't wait to join them. She couldn't wait to become a famous deity in the demon court. Leave quickly. Count yourselves lucky this time. If you were to bump into other demi-humans or demonic beasts the next time, I will not save you again. Looking at Kagura, who was playing with the little black cat in her arms, Wan Yu turned his gaze towards Lei Fan helplessly. Lei Fan nodded his head heavily, and without stopping for a moment, he immediately led his personal guards and sped towards the outskirts of the demonic beast forest. The Hengduan mountain range was now filled with an oppressive aura, and even the demonic beast forest, which had posed no threat to him in the past, was now like a cold meat grinder. Those demon slayers who had stayed in the Hengduan mountain range had all been called out, and more demonic beasts had joined in the search. Every second they stayed in this place was an additional threat. Chapter 237. 3 days later. The military encampment in Shunning City. Li Zhongxing supported himself with both hands beside the sand table. His sharp eyes were like an eagle's as he looked back and forth. The beast tide did not charge into Shunning City in one go. They just wandered around Shunning City, as if waiting for something. The war took a long time to come, so Li Zhongxing spent every day in the camp simulating the scenes of the war in various places. However, Li Zhongxing felt more and more bitter when he simulated the war based on the information that was passed between Dynasty's insiders. The Mirror Frost Dynasty's cavalry and the Azure River Dynasty's crossbow formations were able to suppress the Xinwu Dynasty's heavy armor warriors, while maintaining an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. Therefore, the Xinwu Dynasty's chances of winning the war against the two dynasties were not very optimistic. At the very least, before reinforcements arrived, the Xinwu dynasty would continue to lose their cities and territories. As for the war between the South and the Dragon Tribe of the Four Seas, it was even more tragic. Because the land in the south was fertile and close to the sea, they could trade at any time. Therefore, it was considered the richest region of the Xinwu dynasty. Under the prosperous economy, life in the south was extremely decadent. Most of the commanders came from big families and were idiots with no actual combat experience. Some of the castellans had long been blinded by glory and wealth. With such a combination, how could they defend the territory of the Xinwu dynasty in the face of the attack of the Dragon Tribe of the Four Seas? The war on the other three fronts was not optimistic. This also meant that they would not receive any reinforcements in a short period of time. Li Zhongxing rubbed his forehead and shook his head in distress. His eyes fell on Luo Su, who was holding a roll of bamboo slips and reading with great interest at the entrance of the encampment. He could not help but reveal some doubts in his eyes. This man seemed to be not worried about anything, whether it was the upcoming war or the situation on the other fronts. However, Li Zhongxing could not help but admire this man's sharp eyes and clear thinking. If it were not for Luo Su's suggestions from time to time, they would have lost at least 1/3 of their troops to reach Shunning City. It would be impossible to maintain a nearly full force. As if he felt Li Zhongxing's gaze, Luo Su slowly turned his head and looked at Li Zhongxing. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, outlining a faint smile. He asked, "Are you worried that the Xinwu dynasty will choose to give up the battle in the Hengduan Mountains because the other fronts are unfavorable?" Li Zhongxing nodded slowly after being seen through by Luo Su. The doubts in his eyes were heavier. This man obviously knew everything. How could he still be so indifferent? Luo Su put down the bamboo slips in his hand, stood up and stretched his body. He said in a deep voice, "The Xinwu dynasty is far weaker than the Wanjian dynasty in terms of national strength. If they start a war with the four major powers at the same time, they will die sooner or later. Therefore, although the Emperor God advocates war, it does not mean that he will definitely finish the war. If the Qingjiang dynasty and the Shuangjian dynasty break the bottom line of the Emperor God's heart and continue to march, the Emperor God, who is known for his decisiveness, will give up everything, lead his family and confidants into the Hengduan Mountains to hide, and become a force like the surviving members of the Jiao family. That's impossible, right? This was too exciting. All of them were thinking about how to fight the war and how to win it. However, the Emperor God, who had been fighting wars for half of his life, was already thinking about how to retreat. Nothing is impossible. If that day really comes, the power structure of the continent will be completely broken. By then, no dynasty will dare to say that they will be the final winner. Therefore, even if the Shengwu dynasty is destroyed, the bloodline of the royal family will still be preserved. If they can establish a connection with the monster palace like the surviving members of the Jiao family, these bloodline of the royal family will have a chance to restore the country. Even if they fail, they can still live a carefree life in their old age. The beast tied in the Hengduan Mountains has been wandering around Shunning City, but they have never launched a general attack. What do you think they are waiting for? They are just waiting for the beast Lord Kirin to negotiate with the Emperor God. For the current Shengwu dynasty, the Hengduan Mountains can provide them with a suitable gathering place. Even if they want to continue hiding in the original Shengwu dynasty's territory, they can also obtain a steady stream of spiritual resources from the Hengduan Mountains. For the Hengduan Mountains, no matter if it is the surviving members of the Jiao family or the Lei royal family, they can help them contain the new power. They don't need to invest too many high-level monsters to guard this place. This is a win-win deal for both sides. Luo Su took a deep breath, and his eyes were filled with wisdom. After he finished speaking, the tent suddenly fell into silence. Commander, I have something to report. Not long after the two of them fell silent, Adjutant Zhang opened the tent door and strode in. He glanced at the two of them and said expressionlessly, I just received news that someone has been asking about us. I've already sent people over, but they haven't caught anyone, so I'm not too sure about the specific situation. Asking about us? Luo Su and Li Zhongxing were slightly startled. After exchanging a glance, they saw the doubt in each other's eyes. Although the strength of the mountain-blocking city's army was the best preserved among the 6 border cities, compared to the other veteran cities that had taken root at the border for many years, the newly built mountain-blocking city, with only one Shenlin Jun's reserve troop, was obviously not enough. In this camp that was given to them to rest, mountain-blocking city should be the most inconspicuous one. Luo Su was seriously injured, and his face and skin were burned by the inferno of hell. It could be said that he had changed his appearance completely. Other than Lei Fan, no one knew his true identity, so it was impossible for him to have any enemies. As for Li Zhongxing and the others, it was even more impossible for them to have any enemies. They were originally training in the imperial capital, and this time, they had hurriedly rushed to the north after receiving orders from the higher-ups. Not to mention enemies, they didn't even know anyone here. You did have someone asking about us. Could it be that you're mistaken? Li Zhongxing frowned slightly and took the initiative to ask. Although the beast tide had not directly pressed against them, the Emperor God had never liked to speak softly. If the negotiations between him and the beast Lord Kirin fell apart, a war could break out at any time. At this time, if there were still people from the inside who had their eyes on them, they wouldn't even know how they died. I'm sure it's true. Adjutant Zhang nodded and said in a deep voice, The news was leaked to me by a mercenary from the Merchant Union. The person who asked about us is surnamed me, and has used many aliases. He makes a living by robbing people in Shunning City. He's a bastard with a notorious record, but he's very famous. All the local ruffians around Shunning City have to call him Brother Me. Chapter 238. Li Zhongxing narrowed his eyes slightly and made a nasal sound of doubt. Why would a gangster want to know about them? Vice Commander Zhang was silent for a moment before he spoke again. Strictly speaking, this Brother Me is not asking about us. He seems to be here for the city lord. Every time he asks about us, he is asking if there is a young man with purple pupils who has reported to our camp. Interesting. Let's find a chance to meet this Brother Me. Luo Su licked his lips and a cold glint flashed across his eyes. His past identity was already a dead man, and it was said that he had even been conferred the title of hero by the Divine Martial Dynasty. Now, if he still wanted to continue living on this mainland, he would need to think of a way to get himself a legal identity. If these people who were hiding in the shadows wanted to deal with Lei Fan, then they would be forcing him into a dead end. How do we meet him? This guy is as smart as a monkey. Vice Commander Zhang said awkwardly. Every time my men followed him, they would be shaken off within 2 streets. It would be too difficult to capture him by force. Both of you know that the city lord of Shunning City is very disgusted with soldiers like us entering the city. We have to go through a lot of procedures to enter the city. If we were to fight with this brother me in the city, the sky would fall down. The city lord of Shunning City seemed to be a man with a strong desire for power. He could accept all refugees into Shunning City, but he would rather set up a temporary camp near Shunning City for the soldiers from the other 6 cities than let them enter the city to assist in the defense. It was as if he was afraid that these people from the other 6 cities would seize his power. Brother, you and Li Zhongxing are good at everything. Young, courageous, and quick-witted. These words are not a problem for the 2 of you. However, you must know that the biggest problem for the 2 of you is that you are too young. You lack the experience to deal with all kinds of unexpected situations. Luo Su patted Vice Commander Zhang on the shoulder and sneered. When did I say we were going to enter the city to look for him? Didn't he want to know about the Castellan? Go back and find a reliable mercenary and ask him to spread the news that the Castellan is near Shunning City. Then arrange a job for the mercenary. If Brother Me wants to take the bait, he will come directly to the camp outside the city. Deputy Zhang had sent men to capture Brother Me a few times before, but they were all shaken off. Although Brother Me wasn't sure if this person was his enemy or someone from Mountain Blocking City, he would definitely act more cautiously. The place where they would meet next time would definitely be more concealed. Brother Me would also set up more escape routes. Therefore, if he wanted to capture this person who was secretly gathering information about them, he would have to use an overt scheme to eliminate all of the other party's advantages. If he still wanted to know more about Lei Fan, even if he had guessed that this was a trap, he had no choice but to come. If Brother Me did not come, it meant that Deputy Zhang was investigating in the wrong direction. Brother Me was not worth his attention. The next morning, in a secluded courtyard in Shunning City, Brother Me shook his head with a mournful face and said in a low voice, Lord Blacksnake, please don't force me. Previously, when I was gathering information about that purple-eyed youth, I was targeted more than once. If I wasn't familiar with the streets and alleys of Shunning City, I would have been captured long ago. This time, the other party has set the meeting place outside the city. If there is even the slightest mistake, I will be dead. You know that if you meet him outside the city, the slightest mistake will mean death. Then don't you know that if you don't meet him, you will die immediately? Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes narrowed slightly, staring straight at Brother Me's face. As time passed, the number of beasts gathered near Shunning City increased. The Fire Kirin would definitely not stay here and wait for the beasts to breach Shunning City. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not have much time left. He had to kill the Fire Kirin before Shunning City was breached and seize the bloodline power in the Fire Kirin. Brother Me stammered for a long time, unable to say a word. How could he not know that if he disobeyed the Black Snake's order, the poison in his body could erupt at any time? Currently, nearly 2/3 of his blood was extremely hot, as if it had been infected by the Black Snake's poison. Once the Black Snake had a thought, he would die on the spot. Let me ask you, are you going or not? Lin Yuan meandered to Brother Me and coiled his body in front of him. His eyes revealed a trace of coldness. I'll go. Brother Me gritted his teeth and nodded his head heavily. Even if this was really a trap set by the Mountain Blocking City, they would not kill him immediately after capturing him. Instead, they would interrogate him about the person behind him. By then, he would still have some leeway. However, if he rejected the Black Snake's order, he would die immediately from the poison. Smack. Smack. Lin Yuan patted Brother Me's shoulder with his snake tail and said with a smile, if this is really a trap set by the Mountain Blocking City, don't say a word after you're captured. At the very least, don't say anything before you meet the purple-eyed youth. You might suffer a little, but I'll think of a way to compensate you. Hold on until the purple-eyed youth participates in your interrogation. Then, you can vaguely remind him of my existence when no one else is aware of it. I guarantee that you'll be fine. Brother Mi's face was still filled with bitterness. However, amidst his bitterness, he was also pondering over the identity of this purple-eyed youth. Li Zhongxing was in charge of the entire mountain-blocking city's garrison army. Meanwhile, the Merchants Association and the Demon-Subduing Masters Association were under Luo Su's control. Brother Mi's actions this time were directly confronting these two. Why was the Black Snake so certain that he would be safe once the purple-eyed youth appeared? Could it be trying to trick him? Brother Mi did not consider the existence of a city lord above Luo Su and Li Zhongxing. After all, the city lords of the northern frontier were mortal enemies with the demon beasts. There was no personal relationship to speak of. After Brother Mi left, Lin Yuan suppressed his body to the smallest size possible and quietly left the courtyard. He then headed towards a small tavern that was similarly located in an extremely remote location. During this period of time, Fire Kirin had been busy with something. Normally, it would stay in the demon-subduing pouch carried by the puppet, and would only return to the courtyard to rest when dawn approached. Lin Yuan guessed that Fire Kirin should be preparing the necessary procedures and resources to head to the next human city. Therefore, it forced Brother Mi to meet with the mercenary who spread the news. Who knew when the Fire Qilin would sneak away without making a sound? Chapter 239. In a rundown tavern in Shunning City. Shi Dong was the owner of this rundown tavern. He also worked as a waiter, bartender, and receptionist. His wife was in charge of the entire kitchen. Other than that, there were no other employees in the tavern. In the early years, this rundown tavern actually had its glory days. Shi Dong's father had once developed a sweet and delicious wine recipe, which made him famous in Shunning City for a time. He had earned a lot of wealth, until some people were jealous. These people used all kinds of underhanded means to attack Shi Dong's father. When no customers dared to come to the tavern, they even slandered Shi Dong's father for murder and hiding the body. It was said that there was someone with a high status in the city lord's office behind them. In the end, the tavern was closed down, and even Shi Dong's father was forcibly imprisoned. These people naturally wouldn't ask about something that didn't exist, so they skipped the murder and hiding the body, and began to ask Shi Dong's father for the recipe of the wine. After several rounds of torture, Shi Dong's father, who had been doing this for most of his life, begged for mercy and told them the recipe. After that, Shi Dong's father was forcibly convicted and executed. Shi Dong's mother was implicated and exiled. Even Shi Dong's brothers and sisters couldn't escape the fate. Only Shi Dong, who was studying in the imperial capital at the time, managed to escape. Shi Dong was now 30 years old, and was in the airborne realm. He had his own family and bought the tavern in the name of a foreign merchant. In reality, however, Shi Dong hated the rich merchants of Shunning City, and the existence of the city lord's office to the extreme. After the association of the Demon Emperor made a name for itself in Jianshan City, Shi Dong directly announced that he had joined the association of the Demon Emperor. No matter what name or identity one used, as long as one said that one was a member of the association of the Demon Emperor, it would be fine. The association of the Demon Emperor would not interfere with one's personal actions. Instead, they would provide one with material support on a regular basis. Even the missions given to one were up to one's own will. If one didn't want to carry out a mission, one could choose not to participate. At present, Shi Dong's tavern had become one of the secret contact points of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Members of the Association of the Demon Emperor would choose to trade some special goods or information there. Occasionally, some black market merchants would appear there, buying goods that were difficult for ordinary people to sell at low prices. Knock knock. Someone knocked on the door of the tavern. Shi Dong stepped forward and opened the door. The next moment, his hair stood on end. The black snake's little snake was coiled outside the door, almost blending into the night. If it wasn't for the light in the tavern, Shi Dong would have thought that someone was playing a prank. You are? Shi Dong's panic only lasted for a moment. After all, an ordinary poisonous snake did not have much intelligence. At the very least, it would not choose to knock on the door in the middle of the night and wait for its owner to open the door before suddenly attacking. Therefore this black snake could only be a demonic beast. Reflect green grass spring color. Lin Yuan stared at Sherdong and said the secret code word by word. Sherdong's expression turned solemn as he replied in a low voice. The yellow oriole's voice is so melodious. Please come in. There were very few monsters among the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Most of them were humans who were dissatisfied with the Shinwu dynasty, or demi-humans who had been oppressed by humans for many years. Therefore, Sherdong instantly became serious when he heard the Black Snake Street Code, because in the rumors of the Association of the Demon Emperor, the existence who called himself the Demon Emperor was actually a black snake. Su Dong should have told you about my existence, right? Let's get to know each other first. You can call me Yuan, or you can call me the Demon Emperor. Anyway, it's just a code name. It won't affect our conversation. Lin Yuan opened his mouth and revealed a smile, but it looked a little ferocious. Sir Demon Emperor, please. When Sherdong closed the door, he had already activated the soundproof array, so he was not worried about being eavesdropped. Lin Yuan shook his head and said, No need. I will leave soon. I just have 2 missions that I want to post here. Is it convenient? Please say. Sherdong's eyes flashed with excitement. The Association of the Demon Emperor, which gave the Shinwu dynasty a headache, was supported by the black snake in front of him. All the previous missions were rewards between the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor, or notifications from the headquarters. This was the first time that the Demon Emperor had personally issued an order. Sherdong had a hunch that this would be a big deal, but he was not worried about not being able to complete it. After all, the population of the 7 border cities were all gathered here. Except for the demi-humans scattered in the monster's territory, it could be said that the Demon Emperor's forces were concentrated in Shunning City. If the mission could not be completed, then there was no need for the Demon Emperor to come. However, Sherdong was very curious about how big the mission would be if the famous Demon Emperor personally issued the mission. The first mission, I encountered the Fire Kirin some time ago. Now its strength is probably just at the level of the desolate demon realm. If it is arranged properly, we have a chance to kill it. I need your help to complete this mission. Whoever assists in killing the Fire Kirin this time, I can promise you an Earth-class upper-grade physique training skill. The second mission, if I take action against the Fire Kirin, I need someone to create chaos in Shunning City to delay the arrival of the Shunning City Garrison Corps to the battlefield, giving us a chance to retreat. The reward for this mission is not very generous, but the participants will automatically double the amount of spiritual items they can obtain this season. Lin Yuan stated his intention with an expressionless face. Sherdong sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at the black snake in front of him in disbelief. The reward for the second mission was indeed not very generous, but that was only when it was given to an individual. It might not be a huge amount of wealth, but if this wealth was taken out by a single person, that terrifying amount was enough to make anyone feel shocked. The reward for the first mission could be called a sky-high reward. What was the concept of an Earth-class upper-grade physique training skill? At that time, the top sex only had Earth-class upper-grade physique training skills. Only legendary figures could have Earth-class upper-grade, or even Heaven-class physique training skills. Suddenly, Sherdong felt that the black snake in front of him, who casually took out an Earth-class upper-grade physique training skill, might really be the reincarnation of the legendary Demon Emperor. Moreover, the Earth-class upper-grade physique training skill was just a bonus. The physique training skill was the real key. The biggest weakness of humans compared to demonic beasts was that before the Heavengang realm, their bodies were too weak. After the Heavengang realm, the competition depended on their own means. No matter how strong the body was, it was only used to withstand damage and could not be used as the main output. However, a physique training skill was enough to change the situation of the human body being inferior to demonic beasts. Chapter 240. There were almost no thwart training techniques circulating in the market. Most of the thwart training techniques in the sects were not top-notch either. At best, they could fight against demonic beasts. However, it would be a fool's dream to fight against demonic beasts bare-chested. After all, in the later stages of cultivation, the enhancement of physique would become smaller and smaller. Naturally, no one would calm down and study thwart training techniques. However, no one could deny that not everyone had the aptitude to enter the heaven realm. For example, the Jiao clan of the Wanjian dynasty. Ever since the heaven realm emperor, Jiao Xinghai, disappeared, the Jiao clan no longer had any capable figures. An upper-grade earth-class thwart training technique was enough to drive 90% of the cultivators crazy. That's it, I'll take my leave first. If I want to fight against the fire Kirin, I'll show my true body. By then, those who want to participate in the mission can come and support me directly. Lin Yuan nodded at Sherdong. Seeing the latter open the door, he disappeared into the darkness once again. Looking at the direction where the black snake disappeared, Sherdong was in a daze. The sky of the northern frontier was about to change. The Demon Emperor Association was now an underground organization that could not see the light of day. When the Black Snake and the Fire Kirin fought in Shunning City, the Demon Emperor Association would also assist the demonic beasts outside to destroy the defense of Shunning City. From then on, the name of this organization would become the nightmare of the entire Shenwu dynasty. At the same time, outside Shunning City, more than 30 Beast Kings, including Bai Lu and King Kong, were gathered here. All of them stared at the human who led them here with burning eyes. They were all secretly thinking about how to tear this guy apart. Although Bai Lu and King Kong did not want to start a war at this time, they still had not recovered their strength. However, they could not resist the will of the Beast King court. Even the Stoneclaw Forest had sent many demonic beasts to participate in the war. However, the Black Snake, as the Beast King, was nowhere to be found. Actually, from another perspective, it was not a bad idea to start a war with the humans at this time. After all, the Hengduan mountain range was in a state of panic. The demonic beasts that defeated the mountain-blocking city were greatly weakened. They might be stabbed in the back by other Beast Kings at any time. Beast Kings, I did not summon you here with any hostility. The human who was surrounded by the Beast Kings did not show any fear. He just smiled and said, 3 days ago, we took control of the city wall of Shunning City. Once you launch an attack, we will immediately take down the city wall and open the city gate to let you in. I am just following the president's order to inform the Beast Kings. A tiger-type Beast King took a step forward. His aura was like that of the king of all beasts coming out of the mountains. He said in a deep voice, "Interesting. The defense of Shunning City is impregnable. Even if we wanted to take it down, we would have to pay a heavy price. You are just a human. Why are you helping us instead of staying in Shunning City? You must be the Winged Tiger King. I've heard a lot about you, hee." The human glanced at the Tiger King's appearance and immediately exposed its identity. He said in a deep voice, "Tiger King, you must not know about us, right? Let me introduce myself. I am Li Hao of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Our entire organization is filled with people who are dissatisfied with the Shenwu dynasty. If there is a chance to overthrow the Shenwu dynasty, we will do it even if we have to give up everything. I think you have already felt this." The Beast Kings were silent. If the human in front of him was not a lunatic, then what he said was true. After all, not everyone had the courage to leave the safety of Shunning City or the campsite outside the city and run to an area where demonic beasts ran rampant and attract all the Beast Kings here. Whether it was strength or courage, the requirements were very strict. Association of the Demon Emperor. I have heard of it. A white fox with smooth fur stretched and said lazily, I heard that it was created by a Beast King in our Hengduan Mountains. However, the Beast King Qilin has been investigating who this Beast King is. After all, not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry is qualified to call themselves the Demon Emperor. After a short pause, the white fox's killing intent had reached its peak. As a follower of the Beast King Kirin, although the white fox's strength was not ranked in the depth of the Hengduan mountain range, it did not affect its loyalty to the Beast King Kirin. In its opinion, even the Beast King Kirin did not call himself the Demon Emperor. How could a mere Beast King have the courage to do so? Feeling the shocking killing intent from the white fox, Li Hao just narrowed his eyes and said, even I, a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor, don't know what the real identity of the Demon Emperor is. How can you find out? Anyway, I have already delivered the message. What you do is your own business. Anyway, when you launch the attack, we will seize the city for you and let you enter the city. It has nothing to do with our positions. At least, we are still reliable allies in dealing with the Shimwu dynasty. After saying that, Li Hao slowly retreated. After retreating 100 meters, he quickly left. He did not give the Beast Kings a chance to ask or refute. His speed was so fast that it was shocking. If it was any other time, Li Hao wouldn't mind chatting with these Beast Kings. However, with the existence of the White Fox, Li Hao felt that if he didn't leave now, he might be detained and interrogated about the identity of the Demon Emperor. Although the establishment of the Association of the Demon Emperor was made up by Lin Yuan on a whim, today's Association of the Demon Emperor had reached a certain scale. It could even be considered a first-rate force in the northern frontier of the Shimwu dynasty. Lin Yuan had to be careful. After all, the title of Demon Emperor directly overshadowed the title of Beast King. After the Fire Kirin's failure, no one dared to challenge the authority of the Beast King Kirin. Before he had enough strength, Lin Yuan also did not want to directly confront the Beast King Kirin. Therefore, only the earliest batch of members of the Association of the Demon Emperor knew of Lin Yuan's identity. Only after being selected would they have the opportunity to come into contact with Lin Yuan. I don't think this human is trustworthy. King Kong crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked coldly in the direction where Li Hao disappeared. The defense of Shunning City is actually not difficult to break through. The tricky part is the human allied forces that are exposed in the wild. If we are attacked by the human allied forces when we enter the city, and the road in front is blocked by the army of Shunning City, even if we can break through, we will have to pay a bloody price. This is something that neither the palace nor we can accept. Then, should we attack the human allied forces in the wild first? A lizard beast king carefully probed. Bai Lu, who was on the same side as King Kong, immediately glanced at the lizard beast king and said coldly, "Do you think those cannons and ballistae on the city walls of Shunning City are just decorations? Or are you and your subordinates able to withstand the artillery fire of Shunning City and fight those humans?" Chapter 241. Mountain Blocking City's Military Encampment. Brother Mi, whose face was filled with nervousness, slowly walked forward with his hands in his pockets. Although he guessed that there was an 80% chance that the news was a trap, Brother Mi did not make any preparations. After all, he was already in someone else's territory. If Mountain Blocking City really wanted to take him down, he would not be able to escape even if he grew wings. Thus, he did not have to waste any effort. "Old Mi over here." A middle-aged man in dark green uniform waved his hand at Brother Mi. At the same time, he surveyed the surroundings as if he was worried that someone would jump out and cause trouble. Seeing the other party's actions, Brother Mi felt a little more at ease. Similarly, he cautiously walked toward the other party. "Brother Zhao, you said before." Brother Mi took the initiative to ask the middle-aged man when he arrived in front of him. However, before he could finish his sentence, he heard a crackling sound and his vision instantly turned blurry. "I'm sorry, Old Mi. It's all for the sake of living." Brother Zhao looked apologetically at Brother Mi, who was in a daze, and mumbled softly. When Brother Mi woke up again, he realized that he was already in a tent filled with miscellaneous items. His face could not help but reveal a look of despair. He raised his head and let out a long sigh. He should not have listened to that black snake. Now that he had entered the tiger's den, he was completely out of options. "Oh, you're awake. Your physical quality is not bad." A somewhat frivolous voice rang out. Soon after, a man whose entire body was wrapped in bandages slowly appeared in his field of vision. The man walked toward him naturally, then casually pulled a chair over and sat down. He crossed his arms and coldly looked at Brother Mi, who was sitting across from him. In a cold voice he said, "Brother Mi, this is the first time we've met. As for whether it's the last time, it all depends on whether you cooperate or not. I heard that you've been inquiring about our mountain blocking city recently. Now that I'm sitting across from you, what do you want to ask? I'll answer you." Brother Mi could not see the appearance of the bandaged man. However, the other party's exposed eyes emitted a mountain-like pressure. When they landed lightly on his body, it brought him endless pressure. Brother Me's lips moved. He subconsciously wanted to open his mouth to reply. However, in the next moment, Brother Me forcibly stopped this impulse and only silently looked at the bandaged man. What could this bandaged man do to him? He was just torturing him and forcing him to reveal his purpose. If he had listened to the black snake's words and gritted his teeth, there would naturally be no problem. However, if he were to open his mouth and say something he shouldn't, he would immediately die in the camp of Mountain Blocking City. There might not even be anyone to collect his corpse. Bang! Bang! Just as Brother Me was thinking about his gains and losses, 2 waves of intense pain came from his abdomen. His stomach churned and he almost vomited after being hit by the bandaged man. Hehehe. Brother Me sucked in a breath of cold air, and slowly recovered from the intense pain. He raised his head once again, and his gaze fell upon the bandaged man who had his hands on his head. The bandaged man narrowed his eyes slightly and said in a deep voice, "This is getting interesting. I like tough bones. Prying open the stubborn teeth of people like you will give me a great sense of accomplishment." As he spoke, an undetectable ruthlessness and viciousness flashed across the bandaged man's eyes. He looked at Brother Me, who was stubbornly holding on, without any shame or disappointment. On the contrary, the bandaged man was rather excited. At night, there was still a long way to go. 20 minutes later, Lin Yuan, who was lurking outside the camp of the Human Alliance Army, narrowed his eyes slightly. Naturally, he would not blindly watch Brother Me enter the Mountain Blocking City's encampment. Through Sherdong, he had contacted a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor, who was ostensibly a mercenary, to monitor Brother Me's every move. Now that the time was up, the agreed signal had yet to appear. Therefore, Lin Yuan had already guessed that Brother Me had been captured by the people of Mountain Blocking City. Damn it, why isn't he back yet? Lin Yuan's face slightly stiffened as he cursed in a low voice. If the purple-eyed youth was still in the Mountain Blocking City's encampment, the other party would definitely not capture Brother Me. Even if they did, they would find a way to release him. The current situation could only mean that the people of Mountain Blocking City wanted to uncover Lin Yuan, who had been secretly digging for information about them, and were prepared to eliminate him at any time. After pondering for a moment, a cold glint flashed across Lin Yuan's eyes, and his heart grew colder. He did not know whether Brother Me's bones were tough or not, but he knew that no matter how strong a person's will was, as long as he was continuously tortured to extort a confession, his psychological defense would collapse sooner or later. He and the Fire Kirin were currently resting in Brother Me's small courtyard. If Brother Me spat in there, Mountain Blocking City would definitely send people to capture them. Although they might not be able to capsize them, it would definitely disturb the Fire Kirin, causing it to speed up the process of leaving Shunning City. Kill. Or wait a little longer? Between the two choices, Lin Yuan's heart was infinitely inclined to kill, but his rationality was playing tricks on him. At this moment, a group of fast horses galloped slowly into Lin Yuan's line of sight. The one leading the group was the purple-eyed youth that Lin Yuan was looking for. However, at this moment, the purple-eyed youth looked obviously a little battered, and the personal guards behind him were all covered with injuries of various sizes. There were even 2 who were so severely injured that they could not even ride their horses. The purple-eyed youth at the front of the group did not seem to have any injuries, but the exhaustion on his face could not be concealed. During this period of time, he had been secretly inquiring about the purple-eyed youth, and even Brother Me had failed. He did not expect that when the other party turned back to Shunning City, he would actually run into him. Stop! All of a sudden, a somewhat familiar thought appeared within Lei Fan's mind. Lei Fan was startled, and subconsciously used his left hand to pull on the reins, while his right hand landed on the hilt behind his waist. Young master! Young master? One by one, their gazes fell upon Lei Fan. Some were wary, some were frightened, and some even showed signs of helplessness. Their young master's sensitivity towards danger was no less than that of a wild beast. Along the way, every time he stopped, it meant that danger was near him. If not for his keen intuition, most of them would not have been able to make it here alive. But at this moment, Things were not looking good. Don't think that the area around Shunning City was the territory of humans. However, there were quite a number of demonic beasts roaming around here, and each of them were the main force of the demonic beast tide. Hence, if they were to bump into demonic beasts here, it would be the most dangerous existence, and no one would be willing to die just a little bit outside the safety zone. Chapter 242. It's me behind you to the right. Lin Yuan once again used his mind to say a sentence, and his heterochromatic pupils revealed a bit of indifference. Lei Fan followed Lin Yuan's instructions and slowly turned his gaze to the right behind him, and could not help but let out a long sigh. This black snake that had disappeared for a long time had actually appeared before him in such a manner. But since it was a black snake, it meant that they had already escaped the death stare. You guys go on ahead, I have something to do. Lei Fan pulled on the reins and urged his horse towards Lin Yuan's direction. At the same time, he lowered his voice and said, My safety will not be an issue, and the matter I am going to do is very private. Execute the order immediately. As Lei Fan's personal guards, every single one of them was in existence akin to death warriors. When Lei Fan had turned his head around earlier, they had naturally seen He Shi standing at the right rear. If Lei Fan were to give the order to attack at this moment, they would definitely execute Lei Fan's orders without any hesitation. But towards Lei Fan's orders, a majority of them showed signs of hesitation on their faces. I said, execute the order. Seeing that his personal guards were not moving, Lei Fan's face darkened as he roared out. The group of personal guards then reluctantly urged their horses towards the direction of the campsite. But from time to time, they would turn back to look at Lei Fan, who was urging his horse towards the black snake. As if the black snake made any strange movements, they would immediately raise their swords and charge. About 2 minutes later, Lei Fan urged his horse to come before Lin Yuan, his deep purple eyes narrowing as he said in a low voice, Yo, isn't this the black snake beast king that has reigned supreme in the Hengduan Mountains? Why have you appeared here? Looking at the calm and collected black snake, Lei Fan could not help but speak in a sarcastic tone. Although he did not know where his confidence came from, but he just felt that if the black snake had not left the Stoneclaw Forest some time ago, this war against the humans would not have started at all. Don't speak in a sarcastic tone with me. I am here because I have something important to discuss with you. A cold glint flashed in Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes as he said, You should know about the fire Kirin. I met it some time ago, and we are hiding together in Shunning City. You have to join hands with me to kill it. This will benefit both of us. Hearing Lin Yuan's straight-to-the-point words, Lei Fan was so angry that he almost laughed out loud. What level was the fire Kirin? It was an existence that could wreak havoc in the Hengduan mountain range and challenge Kirin's rule. If they were to go against the fire Kirin, wouldn't they be so embarrassed that they wouldn't even know how they died? Furthermore, the war against the Shunwu dynasty this time was instigated by the Beast Lord Kirin. Killing the fire Kirin would not bring any benefits to the war. On the contrary, it would help the Beast Lord Kirin get rid of one of his greatest worries. If he waited until the Beast Lord Kirin no longer had any misgivings and decided to come out of seclusion once again, there would be countless casualties. When that time came, he, Lei Fan, would be a sinner. You're trying to trick me again? Black Snake, I can King tell, you're just trying to trick me. Think about it yourself, aren't you going overboard? Ever since we started working together, I have tried my best to fulfill all your requests. But what I asked for, you have not fulfilled at all. Why can't I see that I have to kill the fire Kirin no matter what? Can't you explain it to me? If I really kill the fire Kirin, it won't bring me any benefits. Why should I and my men risk our lives to help you kill the fire Kirin? Don't you think I look like a big idiot to you? Lei Fan spoke very quickly, but all kinds of question marks kept popping up in his mind. All the dissatisfaction that he had been suppressing in his heart all this time exploded out at this moment. Of course, it's to survive. Lin Yuan's eyes shone brightly as he replied with a smile. In a deep voice he said, You can't possibly be thinking that a desolate demon realm existence is hiding in a human city, just to eat the specialty snacks of Shunning City, right? When the fire Kirin attacks, Even if you want to react, it will be too late. Also, only if you join hands with me to kill the Fire Kirin. Then I can bring the head of the Fire Kirin to see the Beast Lord Kirin, or maybe someone who can talk to it, and ask them to stop their attack on Shunning City. At this point, Lin Yuan paused for a moment before he opened his mouth again and said, "You can't possibly be thinking that the demonic beasts really can't do anything to Shunning City, right? To put it bluntly, they can drive the low-level demonic beasts or wild beasts to attack Shunning City at any time, constantly consuming the energy and ammunition of your defensive array. Maybe you can hold on for 10 days. But can you hold on for a month or 2 months?" When his voice fell, Lin Yuan's eyes were filled with ridicule. As a stronghold of the Shenwu dynasty, Shunning City did indeed have the power to face the attacks of all the demonic beasts around the Stoneclaw Forest. But that was under normal circumstances. Now that the Shenwu dynasty was besieged on all sides, in a precarious situation, and could be destroyed at any time, the other 3 fronts of the war were constantly receiving urgent battle reports and requests for reinforcements. The allocation of resources was also given to the other 3 fronts as soon as possible. Chapter 243. This. Lei Fan muttered to himself for a moment, unable to make up his mind. Although the Black Snake had often teased him, but strictly speaking, if the Black Snake was a human, it could easily take up any position in the Shenwu dynasty. No matter if it was a small county magistrate or a prime minister who ruled the world, the Black Snake's ability was more than enough. A person with ability to make a promise would naturally have a certain degree of bonus points. Even so, can you tell me why? Must you kill the Fire Kirin? Lei Fan's eyes flashed with doubt, and when he raised his eyes, there was only silence. The Black Snake's ambition was huge, and from its actions after it had taken the throne of the Beast King, Lei Fan could tell that the Black Snake was not an existence that was willing to be a salted fish. What the limits of its ambition were, no one knew. The Beast King Kirin could be one of the targets in the Black Snake's eyes. If there was the Fire Kirin, the Beast King Kirin might still have some reservations, not daring to recklessly investigate the existence of the Demon Emperor's council in the Hengduan Mountains. But once the Fire Kirin died, the shackles on the Beast King Kirin's body would instantly be broken by more than half. You should be able to tell that my cultivation level is stuck at the Wisdom level 10, and I need a little bit of help before I can break through to the next level. And in the entire Hengduan Mountains, if you don't count in the spirit creatures that I met by chance, only the Beast King Kirin has the ability to give me such resources, and even gain the appreciation of the Beast King Kirin. Using the words of you humans, as long as I kill the Fire Kirin, I will be promoted and rich. Lin Yuan smiled and opened his mouth to ask again. Tell me, what reason do I have not to kill it? From Lei Fan's point of view, although he felt that the Black Snake was lying to him, but he still could not find any way to refute the Black Snake's words. After all, what it said was reasonable, and within a short period of time, the Black Snake could only struggle to survive under the command of the Beast King Kirin. With such a good opportunity in front of its eyes, the Black Snake could not possibly not cherish it. But, Wisdom level 10? Surprise flashed in Lei Fan's eyes. At this moment, even he began to doubt the authenticity of the legend at the beginning of the conference of the Demon Emperor. Could this Black Snake really be the reincarnation of an ancient demon emperor, who wanted to establish a supreme demon court that was more glorious than the 7 dynasties combined? He remembered that when he first heard about the Black Serpent was only a spirit awakening demonic beast. If it wasn't for the fact that the Black Snake was only at the 10th level of the spirit awakening realm, and had continuously won, he wouldn't have cared about a demonic beast like this. Later, when the Black Snake ruled the Stoneclaw Forest, he officially came into contact with it. At that time, the Black Snake was only at the 1st level of the Wisdom realm, and had an extremely violent temper. Any demonic beast that reached out their claws towards it would immediately have their claws cut off. How much time had passed? 2 seasons? Winter had yet to pass, and there was still a long way to go before the spring season when all things would come to an end. Yet this black snake was only a step away from the Mountain Lord realm? I got it. Lei Fan nodded his head heavily, his eyes shining brightly as he said. Shunning City has 2 strong practitioners of the Void Realm. One of them is Shunning City's gatekeeper, Yen Xingqi, and the other is Freedom Courtyard's Master Qin. The faction behind me still has some face, and to invite these 2 to take action against a fire Kirin, is that enough? Just as Lei Fan's voice fell, Lin Yuan's eyes turned strange, just like when Lei Fan had heard that he was already at the 10th level of the Wisdom Realm. Was that enough? It was definitely enough. The current fire Kirin had just been revived not too long ago, and at most, it only had the strength of an early-stage desolate demon realm cultivator. To be able to find 2 beings of the same level as it to fight against it, the battle could be said to be completely one-sided. But when these words came out of Lei Fan's mouth, it made Lin Yuan feel a little out of place. The faction behind him still has some face? Of the Void Realm practitioners of the Xinwu dynasty, there were only about 80 of them who were still active, and all of them were top-notch practitioners who came from top clans. Just a casual word from them could decide the life and death of millions of people, and normal factions would not even be taken seriously by them. How much face did they have to be able to invite 2 Void Realm practitioners? My surname is Lei and my name is Fan. Seeing the strange look in the black snake's eyes, Lei Fan cleared his throat and took the initiative to announce his family name. It was only at this moment that the puzzled look in Lin Yuan's eyes dissipated slightly. He had always thought that there was a mysterious family behind Lei Fan, and even if their strength could not be compared to the remnants of the Jiu clan in the Xinwu dynasty, they would still be a top-tier existence. But he had never thought that this Lei Fan was actually from the imperial family. That year, if not for the Beast Lord Kirin's sudden intervention, the entire Jiu clan would have been destroyed that day. Hence, the Emperor God had never liked the demonic beasts, and any action against the demonic beasts, the Emperor God had always been the most active one. Hence, Lin Yuan had never thought that the person who was sent by the faction behind him to negotiate with the demonic beasts in the Hengduan Mountains would actually be a descendant of the imperial family with a noble bloodline. My surname is indeed Lei, but it's not what you think. My father is not the Emperor God, and we can only be considered as distant relatives. But more or less, we have some relations. Those who do not know about my background would choose to give the Lei family some face. After all, they still have to live in the Xinwu dynasty's territory, isn't that so? Lei Fan blinked his eyes, his voice carrying a hint of mockery. Then it's decided. Lin Yuan smiled and said in a deep voice, as long as you can invite the existence of the Void Realm to kill the Fire Kirin for me, I can think of a way to persuade the group of Beast Kings to retreat temporarily, and not continue to put pressure on Shunning City. I hope this time, you won't lie to me. Lei Fan said faintly. Happy working with you. Lin Yuan's eyes shone with joy, but he did not reply. Happy working with you. Lei Fan replied with a helpless look on his face. Things had already come to this stage. Even if he did not want to board the pirate ship, he had to. If the Fire Kirin escaped, who knew what the Black Snake would do? Others did not know how terrifying the Black Snake's subordinates were, but he knew very well. Thinking of those members of the Association of the Demon Emperor, who could enter the Hengduan Mountains without saying a word, and start a massacre in the territories of the various Beast Kings, he felt a chill down his spine. Then I'll take my leave first? Lei Fan asked subconsciously. Without waiting for Lin Yuan to reply, he had already turned his horse around, preparing to head towards the direction of the campsite. Although he had the Black Snake to back him up, but if he stayed in the wild for too long, he would still be in danger. There's one more thing. Lin Yuan then thought of Brother Mi, who had been captured and was now suffering. Chapter 244. Lei Fan's movements stiffened as he turned around to look at the Black Snake in a daze, the expression on his face somewhat conflicted. After all, out of 10 sentences that the Black Snake spoke, 9 out of 10 sentences were to set him up, and the other one was to pave the way. When the matter of killing Fire Kirin was settled and both parties had reached an agreement, Lin Yuan suddenly said that he still had a favor to ask of him. That was most likely to be a trap that he had set for him. Because of the fire Qilin, I have been looking for people to inquire about you. However, I was discovered by your people. After that, they set up a trap and tricked my people into it. I reckon that they have been caught by now. I'll have to trouble you to pay more attention when you go back and release them as soon as possible. When Lin Yuan said those words, his heart did not waver at all. However, the expression on Lei Fan's face was unusually interesting. After all, although the other party was inquiring about him, during this period of time, that person had probably been clashing with Luo Su and Li Zhongxing. Moreover, once such a thing had happened, it would definitely be impossible to hide it. Now, not to mention the people in Mountain Blocking City, even the garrison troops in the nearby cities would probably know about it. If he were to go back at this time and casually ask a few questions before releasing them, that would be a huge slap to his own face. In fact, this matter was not complicated at all. If Brother Mi had directly gone to Mountain Blocking City's encampment and said that he was looking for Lei Fan, Mountain Blocking City would not have laid a hand on him. However, Brother Mi was after all a member of the underworld and did not like to deal with such people. He preferred to secretly gather all kinds of information. However, the mercenary guild was a mixed bag of crooks and honest people. Today, they would sell you information for benefits, and tomorrow, they would sell you out to please others. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before Brother Mi was exposed. However, Brother Mi did not expect that Lin Yuan would be so eager to deal with Fire Kirin that he would still request for Brother Mi to meet him despite knowing that Mountain Blocking City might have set a trap for him. Alright, I got it. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Lei Fan's brows furrowed slightly but soon relaxed. He shrugged his shoulders and said, "It's hard to say. Perhaps because of the delay we have caused. Your men have already been executed by them." Lin Yuan. Were their methods so wild? They did not even ask about the purpose of their visit, and executed them directly? After giving a reply to Lin Yuan, Lei Fan did not stay any longer, and immediately urged his horse to gallop in the direction of the campsite. At the same time, Lin Yuan slowly turned his head and said expressionlessly, "Get your ass in front of me before I get angry. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death." Tap tap tap. Following the sound of footsteps, a smiling Bai Lu slowly appeared in Lin Yuan's line of sight. "Black Snake Beast King, long time no see." Only the white deer knew how genuine and fake the smile on its face was. However, at this moment, facing an old acquaintance with a face full of smiles, unless one was an ice-cold robot, no one would dare to make a move. "What did you hear?" Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly, and the water attribute spiritual energy in the air began to gather. Bai Lu's eyes widened. His acting skills were at full capacity. It took less than a second for his smile to turn into confusion. He asked, "I didn't hear anything. I just saw you from afar and wanted to come over to say hello. Why are you? You stood behind me for 10 minutes. During that time, you stepped on the ground 5 times, used your antlers to scratch the trees 3 times, and..." Lin Yuan continued to gather the water attribute spiritual energy, but his mouth continued to point out all the little actions that Bai Lu had done behind him. Every word that came out of his mouth was colder than the previous one. After all, the olfactory imaging could now detect a range of 32,000 meters. Bai Lu had been hiding less than 100 meters behind him. Although he had been able to avoid Lei Fan's detection, he had not been able to avoid Lin Yuan's olfactory imaging. "It's nothing much. It's just about you guys going against the Fire Kirin." After being exposed by Lin Yuan, Bai Lu's face did not show the slightest bit of embarrassment. He said loudly, "Honestly speaking, for such a good thing where you can just lie down and win, don't tell me you're not prepared to bring an old friend like me along? You must know, no matter how much the Beast King Kirin appreciates you, without a strong tribe or alliance behind you, your position in the monstrous Beast King's court will not be that high." Saying that, Bai Lu's tone was somewhat mocking. Was the Black Snake strong? Very strong. None of the Beast Kings around the Stoneclaw Forest dared to provoke the Black Snake. Even though a large number of them were here for the Black Snake, if the Black Snake did not show any signs of fatigue, these Beast Kings would not have the guts to touch the Stoneclaw Forest. But the Black Snake did not have a strong power behind it. It was said that there was a desolate demon realm existence who had taken a fancy to the black snake's potential, and was even willing to help it suppress the green swamp tribe. But during the period when the black snake had disappeared, that powerful existence had given up on the black snake. Recently, the green swamp tribe had started to stir again, as if they were going to wipe out the remnants of the black snake's power. But at this time, the black snake had actually appeared of its own accord. Even Bai Lu, who was an outsider, could sense that a good show was about to unfold. You? Based on what? Lin Yuan raised his eyelids and asked calmly. Based on the fact that the tribe behind me is the nine-colored deer, based on the fact that the tribe I was born in is called the mist-treading mist. Bai Lu's expression turned serious, and two sharp rays of light flashed in his eyes. Nine-colored deer was a type of beast, but it was gentle and kind by nature. If it encountered a helpless life form, regardless of whether it was a human or a beast, the nine-colored deer would do its best to help it. In the eyes of humans, the nine-colored deer could not be eaten, and in some customs, the nine-colored deer was regarded as the incarnation of the gods. Even in the world of beast kings, the nine-colored deer could heal injuries and provide buffs, and it was still in existence that normal beast kings did not dare to provoke. After all, no one knew what kind of existence the nine-colored deer had helped. The purple-eyed youth was a disciple of the Shimwu dynasty's Lei family. This Bai Lu was also a member of the nine-colored deer clan. Following his own cultivation talent, Lin Yuan finally discovered once again that even his background seemed to be inferior to that of others. Fortunately, he was a cheater. Black Snake, killing the fire Kirin is a great merit. You definitely won't be able to take it all by yourself. If the news spreads, countless beast kings will want to kill you before you meet the beast king Kirin. Even if you meet the beast king Kirin, it won't be of much use. After all, they won't be afraid of the revenge of the non-existent clan behind you. They will be worried that after you grow, you will take away their resources. It's not impossible for them to kill you directly. Bai Lu's voice was very calm, but every word slapped heavily on Lin Yuan's heart. Chapter 245. The Monster King Court isn't as complicated as the various factions in the human world, but it definitely can't be ignored. First of all, you have to know that the ruler of the Hengduan mountain range, Ink Abyss, is also known as Beast Lord Kirin. He's at the peak of the desolate monster realm, infinitely close to the Monster King realm. It has been more than 300 years since he ruled the Hengduan mountain range. Although the monster tribes under him are also divided into factions, they never dare to say no to Beast Lord Kirin's orders. In addition to the Beast Lord, the Qilin, it has three other strong competitors. They are also recognized as the three great beast kings in the Hengduan mountains. They are different from us beast kings who are in charge of a region. Existences like us are at most a small commander in the eyes of the other party. Any one of the three great beast kings is in charge of a boundless land. For existences like us who have become the beast kings of a small region, even if we don't know the three great beast kings, we will still be listed as the subordinates of the three great beast kings according to our respective regions. Sacred Heart Ape Lord Sabaru, Honed Ice Wolf Lord Raymond, and Colorful Snake Queen Keiho. These three are the strongest existences in the Hengduan mountain range apart from the Beast Lord. According to the division of regions, we are the monster beasts under Sabaru. It's said that the original ruler of the Stoneclaw Forest, the mountain-shaking ape clan, is one of Sabaru's bloodline branches. It's just that this lord is used to being carefree and rarely cares about us monster beasts. Looking at the entire Hengduan mountain range, our region is the most chaotic. The change of Beast Lord, the rise and fall of a clan, these are all things that happen every day. I belong to the Nine-Colored Deer clan, the Stepping Mist clan, which is one of the strongest clans in this region. Only the Mountain-Shaking Ape clan can be compared to our Nine-Colored Deer clan. This is also because the Mountain-Shaking Ape clan is related to Sabaru. Black Snake, your advantage is very obvious. You've gained the recognition of the Stony clan. Therefore, the clans under the command of the Mountain-Shaking Apes won't make any hostile moves against you. If you can also gain the recognition of the Misty clan, even if you use force to unify our region, no demon beast will dare to point fingers at you. At that time, if the other demon beast clans want to make a move against you, they'll have to consider whether it's worth it to offend the mountain-shaking apes and the 9-colored deer for that little benefit. And, as one of the veteran beast kings, Bai Lu knew the situation of the Hengduan mountain range like the back of his hand. Although it wasn't detailed, it had already listed all the things that Lin Yuan needed to pay attention to so that Lin Yuan wouldn't inexplicably offend other monster beasts. After a long speech, Bai Lu stared at Lin Yuan with a burning gaze and said in a deep voice, "Therefore, the division of power of the demonic beasts does not completely depend on the race of origin. Some demonic beasts of different races have become blood brothers because of their congenial temperaments. In Lin Yuan's previous life, the Blood Oath Brotherhood was the so-called Blood Oath. Demonic beasts with similar temperaments would drink each other's blood and sign an alliance contract. Even if the demonic beasts who signed this kind of contract were not of the same race, the relationship between them would not be any weaker than that between close relatives. For example, if Bai Lu signed a blood alliance with Lin Yuan, then no matter who Lin Yuan's enemy was, whether Bai Lu knew about it or not, it would be included in Lin Yuan's camp. At the same time, the other party would attack it. You mean you want to establish a blood alliance with me?" Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly and stared blankly at Bai Lu. He had quite a number of enemies in the Hengduan Mountains. In the past, there was a master suppressing them, so they did not dare to be presumptuous in front of Lin Yuan. But now that the master was silent, these monster beasts would naturally not let go of this opportunity to get rid of him. Just based on his current strength on the surface, compared to the enemies he had offended, he could be said to be as weak as a piece of sand that would turn into powder with a light pinch. Bai Lu wanted to sign a blood alliance with him at this time, which meant that Bai Lu was willing to face so many enemies, just for the reputation of helping him kill the Fire Kirin. Although Lin Yuan did not know what Bai Lu was thinking, from his point of view, Bai Lu's actions could be said to be completely crazy. Moreover, it was a madness that did not care about the cost and consequences. Bai Lu scratched the ground and said in a calm voice, "Black Snake, you might have misunderstood. Killing the Fire Kirin does not attract me that much. After all, it is not the enemy of my 9-colored deer clan. The only reason I want to form a blood alliance with you is because I think you have a bright future ahead of you. If you are willing, my territory can be under your rule at any time. I am willing to be your right-hand man, just like Mendu." Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with a sharp light. His thoughts were completely empty. In the world of monster beasts, there was not a single monster beast that would reject the goodwill of the 9-colored deer, or its branch clan. Although the fighting strength of this clan was not strong, their relationship with humans and monster beasts was extremely good. Even existences that did not interact with the 9-colored deer would not choose to offend them. However, in the face of Bai Lu's straightforward goodwill, Lin Yuan still maintained 120% of his vigilance. He knew that the potential he had displayed was extraordinary. In the eyes of most monster beasts, as long as he did not fall halfway, he could also become an existence on the same level as the 3 monster kings. Therefore, the cruel side of the law of the jungle appeared bloody in Lin Yuan's current situation. Not a single monster beast liked the feeling of being under someone. Knowing that Lin Yuan had great potential, they chose to suppress Lin Yuan and do their best to kill Lin Yuan. They would rather be trapped in their own territory than to see another monster king appear in the Hengduan mountain range. After so many years of captivity, these monster beasts had already gotten used to the days in the Hengduan mountain range. In their eyes, the monster beast clan that ruled the Tianwu continent had already become an unreachable legend. Perhaps only the young monster king Kirin had the ambition to conquer the Hengduan mountain range. Until now, the ambitious and ruthless monster king of the past was still living in seclusion in the Hengduan mountain range, becoming the monster king of the monster beasts. However, to Lin Yuan, although the resources in the Hengduan mountain range were very tempting, it was not enough for him to be promoted to the top of this world. Lin Yuan, who had the soul of another world, firmly believed that there were many main worlds like this. Moreover, there were interconnected passages between main worlds, and that silver coin proved this point. The existence at the top of this world did indeed have the means to go to other main worlds. Forming a blood alliance? But my journey is not just limited to the Hengduan mountain range. Lin Yuan's eyes slightly narrowed, but there was a smile in his eyes. This is the monthly subscription of 300 chapters. Chapter 246. Hearing this, Bai Lu was slightly startled. But soon Bai Lu felt relieved. The black snake's vision was not limited to the Hengduan mountain range. Just like the beast Lord Kirin in the past, it had been cleansing the Hengduan mountain range of strange sounds while contacting some humans. It was constantly coveting the fertile land that provided for countless humans. The black snake today was simply a replica of the beast Lord Kirin in the past. No, the black snake might be more outstanding because the beast Lord Kirin and the humans were more like allies. However, the black snake seemed to be in charge of an army of humans. As a demonic beast, it could make humans submit to it. What kind of terrifying ruling power was this? Bai Lu lowered his body slightly and gave a simple salute to Lin Yuan. He smiled and said, "Then please advise me in the future. As for the signing of the blood oath ceremony, I can hold it at any time. At that time, all the demonic beast kings near the Stoneclaw Forest will come to witness the ceremony. Just in case, I will also invite some experts from the clan to oversee the ceremony." "All right, let's settle the matter at hand first. Tell me what happened in the Hengduan mountain range. Why is there such a large-scale demonic beast tide that is directed at the Xinwu dynasty? Also, the land and sea demonic beasts are joining forces to attack the Xinwu dynasty. Why are the other 6 empires not helping the Xinwu dynasty? Why are there 2 other empires that joined the crusade against the Xinwu dynasty?" Lin Yuan took a deep breath and stared at Bai Lu with burning eyes. "Oh, I'm not too sure about the higher-ups. If you ask this, I can only say that this is an order from the demonic beast palace. Demonic beasts like us don't have the guts to refuse. However, I heard that the Xinwu dynasty seems to have offended some powerful existence. The other party probably just wants to give them a warning and not use this opportunity to destroy the Xinwu dynasty." Bai Lu was deep in thought. He lowered his voice and said, "I heard that the existence that the Xinwu dynasty offended sent an expert to order Beast Lord Kirin to attack the Xinwu dynasty. There was no room for negotiation. Had the Xinwu dynasty fallen to such a state just because they had offended someone or some force?" Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly. He felt that the other party wanted to get something from the Xinwu dynasty, but the Xinwu dynasty refused to give up so easily. That was why they were surrounded by the 4 major forces. If the Emperor God refused to give in, perhaps the Xinwu dynasty would really be destroyed after this war? "By the way, Black Snake, I just remembered something." Bai Lu's eyes flashed as he interrupted Lin Yuan's train of thought. He said excitedly, "Do you know that the humans have an organization called the Demon Emperor Association? Previously, a member of the association called Li Hao contacted us. He said that as long as we attack Shunning City, they will immediately take down the city wall and let our demonic beasts in." When Bai Lu's voice fell, the expression on Lin Yuan's face suddenly became strange. Demon Emperor Association Li Hao? He had the name list of all the members of the association, but there was no one called Li Hao. In addition, when he entered the tavern to contact Sherdong didn't mention this to him at all. Was someone secretly using the name of the Demon Emperor Association to do things? Or was this Li Hao a newly recruited member? If it was the latter, it would be fine. After all, the Demon Emperor Association had always been free. If they didn't accept the mission, the members of the association could act as they wished. If they wanted to take down the city wall and let the demonic beasts in, they didn't have to report to the other members of the association. But if it was the former, it would be a big problem. What's more, the other party's plan was flawless. The members of the association of the Demon Emperor might not be friendly to the demonic beasts, but there was a demonic beast behind the association of the Demon Emperor that called itself the Demon Emperor. If a group of humans really helped the demonic beasts to take down Shunning City, then the association of the Demon Emperor would be the scapegoat. Although the association of the Demon Emperor was active in the Xinwu dynasty, they had never fully expressed their stance on the side of the demonic beasts. If the association of the demon emperor really took down the city wall and let the demonic beasts in, then from then on, any human forces would be forbidden to the members of the association of the demon emperor. Interesting, Lin Yuan murmured. Ha! Bai Lu was slightly stunned. The Demon Emperor Association said that they would help the demonic beasts to take down the city wall and let them in. Wasn't this a good thing? If the humans lost the defensive formation and the heavy weapons on the city wall, the demonic beasts would be able to defeat the humans in terms of individual combat ability. Even if the forces of the 7 border cities gathered together, there were only a few Heaven Dipper realm experts who could fight against the demonic beasts. For example, the mountain blocking city didn't even have a Heaven Dipper realm expert. The strongest existence was Huazhu Dao, who died in the hands of Lin Yuan. But after hearing this news, why didn't Black Snake look happy at all? Even his expression was a bit solemn. Could it be that the rumors were true? That Demon Emperor Association was really formed by Black Snake? Then let's give it a try. Lin Yuan sneered and said coldly, "Anyway, we won't lose anything. We'll push the formation to the vicinity of Shunning City and observe the situation. If the humans really fight on the city wall, we'll attack the city directly. If they don't, we'll retreat and they won't dare to pursue us." But Bai Lu took a deep breath and said slowly, "I've discussed with King Kong and the others. There are still 6 allied human forces in the camp. If we attack Shunning City rashly, we'll be easily caught in a situation where we'll be attacked from both the front and the back. At that time, we'll have to pay a great price to escape. If we attack Shunning City, even if the allied forces of the 6 cities are not nearby, they'll definitely come out to support us. Shunning City is the only communication channel between them and the Shimu dynasty. All the supplies have to go through Shunning City. If we take Shunning City, even if their defense is impregnable, they'll be trapped here alive by us. However, let's think about it in reverse. When the humans' lives are not threatened, they won't take the initiative to leave their safe positions to fight with us in the wild. So it's really easy to get rid of the allied forces of the 6 cities. If I'm the commander, I can force the allied forces of the 6 cities to give up their advantages and fight with us in 7 days at most." Lin Yuan thought for a moment, and a touch of embarrassment appeared on his face. He said in a low voice, "But you know those beast kings and I are more or less at odds. Even if I have a good strategy, they won't necessarily listen to me. Even if they don't jump out to oppose me, I'll be grateful." Chapter 247. Bai Lu's face also showed a troubled expression. The Black Snake's reputation in the demon beast circle was indeed bad, especially after Curly Moon's actions. The nearby beast kings had more or less been offended by the Black Snake. Wanting them to listen to the Black Snake's words was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Well, forget it. Anyway, I'll be staying in Shunning City during this period of time, so it's not my turn to command. Go back and make some arrangements. Organize a few groups of monsters that are more mobile, and keep an eye on Shunning City and the human camp. Once there are supplies, launch an attack immediately. No matter what the casualties are, make sure that the human army in the camp can't get any supplies. I've heard that the human camp only has enough food for 3 days at most. Every 3 days, Shunning City will send a batch of supplies to the human camp. If everything goes well in the first few days, the humans will still hide. After all, they still have war horses and pet beasts to eat. But after 7 days, the human camp will run out of supplies. If they don't want to starve to death, they have to take the risk and break out of the encirclement towards Shunning City. Remember, if the humans break out of the encirclement at this time, don't kill them. Just follow them from afar. Once Shunning City opens the gate to accept them, launch an attack immediately. I'll find a way to coordinate with your attack. If Shunning City doesn't accept them, don't attack. Once the 6 armies have completely lost their fighting power, Shunning City will still be ours." Lin Yuan spoke very slowly, making sure that Bai Lu could hear every word clearly and understand what he meant. Bai Lu carefully thought about the Black Snake's idea for a moment. Suddenly his eyes lit up and he almost couldn't help but say to the Black Snake, "You're really something." The black snake was known as the most treacherous existence in the Hungduan Mountains in recent years. No matter how big the difference in strength was between the two sides, no matter how many times the humans launched a crusade, the black snake could always escape unscathed and even make the humans suffer a few losses. This vicious plan was really too vicious. The allied forces of the 6 cities were blocked outside Shunning City. If they couldn't get any more supplies, or if Shunning City was unwilling to open the city gate to accept them, the resentment of the 6 cities would definitely reach the peak. Even the demon beasts wouldn't need to do anything, as these human beings would immediately pick up their weapons and attack Shunning City. Well, it's almost dawn. I have to return to Shunning City as soon as possible. You guys carry out this plan. At least we can take down the humans in the camp. Lin Yuan wriggled his snake body and walked towards a human that appeared from the shadows. Lord Black Snake. Sherdong walked out of the darkness and took out a bamboo basket from his back. He smiled bitterly and said, "Just make do with this." As a well-known businessman in Shunning City, Sherdong had certain privileges when entering and leaving the city. Unless it was a battle, Sherdong's belongings would not be checked. If he was an ordinary person, he would even have to take off his clothes for a full body check before entering and leaving Shunning City. Lin Yuan got into the bamboo basket and waited for Bai Lu to go far before asking, "I heard that some members of the Association of the Demon Emperor plan to help the demonic beasts take down the city walls of Shunning City, and then open the city gates to let the demonic beasts in. Do you know about this?" Sherdong was slightly shocked and said with a face full of horror, "Which bastard wants to do this?" The Association of the Demon Emperor seemed to be secretive, but compared to the dynasties and sects that had been passed down for thousands of years, it was still lacking. If a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor was captured, the other party could use this member to capture other members of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Therefore, in the eyes of the truly powerful forces, the list of members of the Association of the Demon Emperor was something that could be easily obtained. If someone in the Association of the Demon Emperor really did this, the entire list of members of the Association of the Demon Emperor would be made public. After that, in the human territory, the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor would either be killed or expelled. There would be no place for them to live. After all, no one would want a group of people that could betray them to live under their nose every day. "I'm not sure." The other party called himself Li Hao and said that he was a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor. His meaning is clear. This is the Association of the Demon Emperor's decision, not his own. It's hard to say if it's an external force pretending to be a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor, or if it's an individual radical member of our organization. Lin Yuan shook his head and slumped in the bamboo basket. He said in a deep voice, "Since you're not sure who did this, you should go and investigate. Ask those members of the Association of the Demon Emperor, who are close to you if they know." "What if it's one of us?" Sherdong asked with a trembling voice. Although he couldn't wait for the Xinwu dynasty to be destroyed as soon as possible, that was under the condition that it didn't affect his living space. If the price of destroying the Xinwu dynasty was that he had to leave the human territory, then Sherdong would rather leave the Association of the Demon Emperor. He was now worried that the Black Snake would really take this matter to heart, and let the Association of the Demon Emperor take down the city wall, and let the demonic beasts enter Shunning City. After all, the Black Snake was a demonic beast and not a human. Perhaps it only cared about whether the demonic beasts could win the battle, and not the life and death of the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Clean it up from the inside. Remember to keep it quiet and don't let too many people know. If it's not one of us who did this, you can arrange a group of people to hide around the city wall. Those guys might be able to catch the defenders off guard. Then you can catch them off guard. In short, even if all of you die in battle, you have to protect the reputation of the Association of the Demon Emperor. This is not only for me, but also for yourselves. Lin Yuan didn't hesitate at all, and directly gave out the way to deal with it. Phew. Okay, I understand. Sherdong exhaled a long breath of turbid air, then nodded heavily. Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes in the bamboo basket, and began to think silently. If it really wasn't the decision of the radical members of the Association of the Demon Emperor, then who would do such a thing? It wasn't easy to disguise as a member of the Association of the Demon Emperor. For example, if they wanted to take down the city wall of Shunning City, they would need a group of experts to open the city gate before the defenders of Shunning City could react. At that time, the demonic beasts wouldn't pay attention to them. Otherwise, this operation was destined to be a joke. To be able to mobilize a group of experts in such a short time, the organization behind the other party must be very powerful. However, the masks and uniforms of the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor were all custom-made by the members of the Association of the Demon Emperor. The other party must be able to get the exact same ones. Otherwise, the slightest flaw could be used as evidence of the Association of the Demon Emperor's comeback. Therefore, if this person wanted to accomplish this, he or she must get the uniforms of the Association of the Demon Emperor. Chapter 248. Perhaps there's a traitor among us. After passing through the sentry post at the city gate, Lin Yuan's voice rang out from the bamboo basket again. Sherdong's brows were tightly knitted together as he asked doubtfully, "Why do you say so? If the other party is a member of the Demon Emperor Association, they will be implicated by this matter. I don't think anyone would be so foolish as to do such a thing that harms others without benefiting themselves. What if the other party is the remnants of the Jiao clan?" Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed as he slowly uttered the name of a force. Now that the Xinwu dynasty was in a precarious situation, it was impossible for the remnants of the Jiao clan to not be tempted. It was completely reasonable for them to take action at this time. In addition, with the Demon Emperor Association as a shield, they could do whatever they wanted without any scruples. If this matter really succeeded, the demonic beasts would definitely give the Xinwu dynasty another heavy blow after entering the pass. By then, the hidden force, the Demon Emperor Association, which had the greatest chance to compete with them, would also be kicked out because of this matter. It could be said to be the best of both worlds. "You mean Senior Jiao?" Sherdong swallowed a mouthful of saliva as his legs trembled a little. That person was the representative of the Demon Emperor Association's martial strength, a true Heaven Dipper realm expert. If he insisted on standing up for the Jiao clan's surviving members, then the Demon Emperor Association might really be doomed. Not necessarily. Although I haven't seen the Wine Sword Immortal for a while, I have a good eye for people. Although this guy still hates the Xinwu dynasty, he has no sense of belonging to the remnants of the Jiao clan. Since he is working for the Demon Emperor Association, he definitely won't stab me in the back. There might be other remnants of the Jiao clan within the Demon Emperor Association, or they might have been bribed by the remnants of the Jiao clan. So when you inquire about this matter, remember to beat around the bush and don't ask directly. That will make the traitor in our group more vigilant. Lin Yuan added another sentence. I understand. Sherdong nodded heavily as he carried the bamboo basket and walked towards the tavern. 20 minutes later, Lin Yuan returned to the remote courtyard. At this moment, the sky was already turning white, and the sun was about to rise. Hua Qiren stepped into the courtyard, glanced sideways at Lin Yuan, and said indifferently, I heard that the human with the surname Mi has fallen into the hands of the human army because of your decision. Aren't you going to give me an explanation for this? What's there to befriend? Lin Yuan subconsciously replied, but his voice stopped abruptly, because in his perception, the connection between him and the curse mark poison had been abnormally severed. The curse seal poison could be forced out through blood exchange, but that method was very slow. Once he sensed the curse seal poison leaving the host's body, he could activate the curse seal poison at any time to kill the target. This kind of disconnect could only mean one thing. Brother Mi is dead. Lin Yuan's heterochromatic eyes flashed with surprise. There was no problem with his cooperation with Lei Fan. If there was a problem with Lei Fan, when they were outside the city, he could have called for Shunning City's army to kill him. Even if Lei Fan wanted to use a long line to catch a big fish, he would have thought of a way to release Brother Mi first to gain his trust. Now that Brother Mi was dead, Lin Yuan immediately suspected that there was a problem with Lei Fan, which would not benefit their cooperation at all. At the same time, In the camp of Mountain Rampart City, Lei Fan looked at Brother Mi, who was slumped on the chair, and there was not a single piece of unharmed flesh on his body. He was so angry that he was trembling uncontrollably. He had told Black Snake that he would think of a way to release Brother Mi when he returned. In the end, he had just returned and Brother Mi was already dead. He really didn't know how to explain this matter to Black Snake. Even if he told the truth now, Black Snake probably wouldn't believe him. Moreover, if he said that people died as soon as he came back, Black Snake would deliberately think that he was insulting Black Snake's intelligence. What the hell are you trying to do? Lei Fan looked at Luo Su, his chest heaving up and down violently, and said coldly, "Do you know how important this person is? If I don't release him, and something happens to Black Snake, you, me, and the entire Mountain Rampart City, we can all forget about having a good life in the future." Luo Su shrugged his shoulders indifferently and said, "I don't even know who he is. Besides, this guy has been trying to get information about you. You should know that your identity is a little more sensitive. Now, I don't know how many pairs of eyes are watching the movements of the 7 border cities, especially the remnants of the Jiao clan. Once they know that you are a descendant of the Lei family, they will definitely send out a large number of assassins to kill you. I was only concerned about your safety, so I had no choice but to interrogate this guy severely. Who knew that he would be so weak?" As he spoke, Luo Su's eyes were still flashing with a ruthless chill. He had a secret that he had not told anyone. In fact, when the demonized Feng Tian had injured him, the flames of purgatory had been burning on his body. Even when he was rescued, the flames of purgatory had not been extinguished, but had merged into his body and continued to burn. Now every day he was enduring the endless burning of the flames, and the ruthlessness in his heart was getting stronger and stronger. Under such extreme pain, he wished that he could tear apart everything that he saw. Even if the person standing in front of him was Lei Fan, he almost could not suppress the murderous intent in his heart. "So, when I shouted for you to stop, did you not hear it, or did you pretend not to hear it?" Lei Fan threw out another question. Even from 400 to 500 meters away, he could hear Brother Mi's screams. He shouted for him to stop as he rushed over. But when he reached the interrogation room, Brother Mi had already stopped breathing. This was the reason why he was so angry, because he realized that Luo Su seemed to have started to break out of his control. Luo Su was indeed a rare talent. He had no identity, no past, and only under his command could he avoid the Shimwu dynasty's massacre of the survivors of Zhanshan City. Moreover, Luo Su had been in command of the Zhanshan City's garrison troops for many years, and his personal strength and command were quite good. Before Li Zhongxing had grown up, Luo Su was his most capable assistant, and at the same time, his most outstanding teacher. With regards to Luo Su, Lei Fan was at ease. But now that Luo Su had broken out of his control, Lei Fan started to hesitate. Because if he wanted to solve this matter, he had to give up on Luo Su. In this way, he might be back to square one in Zhanshan City, leading a Li Zhongxing who had not yet grown up to fight a battle of wits and courage with the Hengduan Mountains. How would he have the time to manage Zhanshan City? Chapter 249. At most, you can just hand me over. As if he had seen through Lei Fan's heart, Luo Su suddenly sneered and muttered indifferently. Seeing Luo Su's attitude, the hesitation in Lei Fan's heart disappeared, and he was so angry that he was trembling. The anger in his purple eyes was not inferior to the anger in Luo Su's eyes. In fact, both of them knew that Brother Mi to Black Snake was just a pawn that could be discarded at any time. However, it was a fact that Brother Mi had died in their hands. No matter what, Lei Fan had to give Black Snake an explanation. This was a matter of attitude. Otherwise, if Brother Mi died in Lei Fan's hands today, who knows which of Lei Fan's subordinates would be killed by demonic beasts the next time? This kind of gap was fatal to both partners. Who? Lei Fan let out a long breath and retracted the anger on his face. He said in a low voice, "Get ready. Come with me to Shunning City tomorrow. I have to explain this matter to Black Snake face to face. As for how to deal with you, that will depend on what Black Snake thinks." The partnership between Lei Fan and Black Snake was not solid. After all, strictly speaking, the new location of Mountain Blocking City was not within Black Snake's attack range. If he continued to work with Black Snake, at most, when demonic beasts attacked Mountain Blocking City in the future, the demonic beasts under Black Snake would come and report. Regarding Brother Me, Lei Fan did not do a good job. While he was angry, he also wanted to see what kind of position this partner of his held in Black Snake's heart. Everyone knew that Luo Su was loyal to Lei Fan, and at this stage, there was almost no one around Lei Fan who could replace Luo Su's position. Without Luo Su's help, Lei Fan's following work would have to start from scratch, and he might not even be able to maintain his current progress. If Black Snake insisted on dealing with Luo Su for a pawn, although Lei Fan would not fall out with Black Snake on the spot, but the partnership between the two would come to an end. Sure. Luo Su's mouth curled up slightly, and the arc that was outlined was inexplicably evil. On the other side, in a remote courtyard, Fire Kirin's eyes narrowed and said coldly, "This is really interesting, Black Snake. When I said that humans can't be trusted, you were the one who stopped me from killing that guy. In the end, it was you who personally pushed him into the abyss of death. Don't you think it's funny?" Lin Yuan's eyes flashed with uncertainty. He didn't continue the conversation and instead asked, "What do you mean?" Brother Mi's death was indeed related to him. If not for Fire Kirin's plan to escape, he would not have forced Brother Mi to enter the garrison of Mountain Blocking City to gather information. Naturally, Brother Mi would not have died. Although Lin Yuan was not affected by the death of such a chess piece, he could not help but have a headache. After all, Brother Mi was a well-known hooligan on the streets of Shunning City. He had bullied men, seized women, and committed crimes. There were no bad things that Brother Mi had not done. The death of such a person would only make people clap their hands and cheer. Even Lin Yuan and Fire Qilin would not have any pessimism or sympathy for Brother Mi's death. The most troublesome thing now was how to deal with Lei Fan. Lin Yuan's strategic vision had always been at the top of the world. A mere Hengduan mountain range was not enough to satisfy Lin Yuan. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before he took control of the human territory. If the Xinwu dynasty could survive this storm, Lin Yuan could use Lei Fan, a member of the royal family, to support the Demon Emperor Association's power until he achieved his goal of taking over the territory of the Xinwu dynasty. If the Xinwu dynasty could not survive, then there would be another era of independence on this land. After all, the land and sea monsters were not allowed to occupy the human territory. This was not allowed by any human. It would be a good thing if their living space was not further deprived. As for the Qinjiang and Shuangjian empires, they could only contribute to the war against the Xinwu dynasty. Once it was over, the upper echelons would naturally give them some compensation and rewards. However, the territory of the Xinwu dynasty would be taken down in the end, and the other 6 dynasties wouldn't be able to touch it. Although the 7 empires had rankings among themselves, the difference in national strength was not that big. The rankings were constantly changing every year. Therefore, everyone maintained a corresponding restraint. If the territory of the Xinwu dynasty was divided equally between the Qinjiang and Shuangjian empires, then after 10 years, the Qinjiang and Shuangjian empires would be able to crush any of the other 4 empires in terms of national strength. Therefore, once this land entered a chaotic era of independence, there would only be a new empire to replace the Xinwu dynasty. Just like when Lei Qiuxing rebelled and usurped the throne, the other 6 empires did not dare to help, nor did they dare to take the opportunity to annex the territory of the Wanjian Empire. From Lin Yuan's point of view, the power structure of the Tianwu continent was extremely abnormal. The 2 great monster clans, the 7 empires and various sects, gangs and other powers. Not to mention this continent, even in a small county, there would be several different voices. The opinions and thoughts of these people could not be unified. Even if there were outstanding reforms, they would not be able to execute them. If this continued, even after millions of years, there would not be the slightest change in this world. I just want to know one thing. Did that human reveal any information about us? The Fire Kirin cleared its throat, the expression on its face slightly twisted. Now that its strength had not recovered to its peak, Both demonic beasts and humans wanted to kill it as soon as possible. Once its whereabouts were leaked out, it would be followed by endless pursuit. Although there was no deep hatred between the humans and it, as an ancient remnant species, whether it was its strength or the energy contained in its flesh, it was an unforgivable crime in the eyes of the humans. Therefore, the humans would be even crazier in their pursuit of it than the demonic beasts. Who knows? Lin Yuan smiled slightly, a mocking expression on his face. Although he was a must-kill target in the eyes of many monster clans, behind him stood the mountain-shaking ape and the nine-colored deer. Moreover, he had not committed any crimes on the surface. Even if his whereabouts were exposed, he could just hide among the monster clans. No one would be bold enough to attack him in broad daylight in front of so many people. The Fire Kirin looked deeply at Lin Yuan, its eyes flashing with regret more than once. It began to regret bringing Lin Yuan out of the Sumeru world. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.